Welcome to the SaintsCityMe, a podcast delivering audio love letters to and from the city of New Orleans and its New Orleans Saints. I'm Dan, and as always, I'm joined by my mate Mike. This week, we are delighted to welcome our travel companion from our recent trip to New Orleans, the one and only Charles Dunn, aka ScottishWhoDat. You might know Charles from his absolutely outstanding Photoshop and artwork, which is frequenting Twitter on a regular basis. Charles, how are you doing, buddy?
No, fantastic. Better this time a week ago, of course, because where I was, rather than just sitting at a boring farm in central Scotland. But still, just the high hasn't worn off, and I don't think it ever will wear off. So
that's what we love to hear.
It's what keeps
spring in my
back.
Step. Exactly, yeah. It creates the most positive addiction you can create.
Yes,
albeit expensive.
Yeah, bloody expensive. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm theoretically meant to be going back at the beginning of December because my wife said I could. So I had a quick look. At the flights, and my wife said, "Maybe you can't. They're fucking expensive. They're expensive."
I looked at February next year because I'm the eternal optimist, and I was like, "Oh, let's just see what the price is like around Super Bowl weekend."
Yeah.
Just economy with BA is like £1,100, £1,300. I was like, you're taking the piss. I went premium for that.
But that's also, I think, because 2 days later is Fat Tuesday. It's really early this year. I looked at the same thing and with the same thought, like, how is it that expensive? But it's because it's right plumb in the middle of Mardi Gras. So hey, look, if they get to Super Bowl, I'll
find a way.
There. Yeah, I'll get there.
Well, the three of us have been in the same boat. Yeah, the three of us have been in the same boat this weekend because that's the first thing I did. I think when I kind of came to a little bit on Thursday, was just going to check how much flights would be around mid-January sort of time for a potential playoff game. But then I think you'll find my next tab open on my phone is how much do kidneys go for in the black market. So
I'm sure Alex could help you there.
That would, if it was Alex personally, it would be liver. He might know. He might know something.
Gone through a few. He's gone through a few other people's livers.
Yeah. His mafia connections boys must know a few people. All right. I suppose we'll kick on before we get into the sort of the main. Well, it's not because this is part of the main part of the whole story with you, Charlie. Is we always talk about the Saints, but obviously we'll talk about the game, but we must preempt that with your first visit to the Dome. Like, obviously, anybody who knows you has seen that monumental picture on Twitter where you're standing outside the Dome in your costume. And I'm telling you, it's one of the best pictures I've seen with regards to the Saints. It's fantastic. So how did obviously, you've been out the night before, but how did the morning construct itself? How did it all come together? Let's have a listen.
So I hadn't quite fully adjusted. I hadn't really adjusted at all to the time. So I was still kind of waking up, kind of 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I must woke up at 5 o'clock and I sat up, full Undertaker gif, just out of bed up, and just thought, clapped my hands and just said it's time, and then looked at my watch and said, there's still 7 hours to go. Better calm down a little bit here. So then just kind of just let myself just simmer. I actually watched quite a lot of like Saints highlights from the Dome, and didn't really watch the plays, just listened.
Yeah.
And just kind of got just that little starter, just got that little taste, just got that little reminder of what it's going to be like. But then I started kind of getting up around 7 o'clock thinking, right, time to get ready, time to get this costume on. Got it all laid out. Like, I'm usually like, just throw it on, blah, blah, blah. But I'm full on, neatly laying every individual aspect out.
Charlie, just to interject there, you said you got up about 7. An hour before that, I woke up. Not by choice. Dan, why did I wake up? Why was I awake at 6 o'clock on the morning of the game?
I was violently being sick in the toilet.
My man.
When I say violently, I mean it was aggressively bad.
My friends nicknamed me the Tubular Bells because the noise I make when I'm being sick.
That sounds quite delightful.
Yeah, I dared say what it sounded like when Dan was being sick.
I wrenched really bad, and I knew that I was going to wake Mike up. I didn't give a fuck. I was in a bad way. It was really bad, and I blame Alex as well. Alex again.
Yeah.
It's going to be a theme throughout this episode. Blame Alex.
Shock.
All right, sorry, Charlie. So you're up at 7. You think, right, lay all your stuff out.
Yeah. And then I realised I'd left a crucial part behind. I'd left the gold face paint. But I wasn't panicking that much, because I think of any city on the world to get gold face paint, it would be New Orleans. So then I just start kind of laying it all together, go out, get myself just a nice light breakfast, literally just a coffee and a glass on.
Yeah.
And then just start hit with this just wall of nerves and just anticipation, not for the experience, but just purely for the game. Yeah. Because it dawned on me that I'd watched hundreds of Saints games over the years, and playoff games, obviously NFC Championship games, but none mattered as much as that. So for a good hour or so, I was kind of shaken a little bit by the whole, just getting to see Kamara play and wanting to see him play well and the whole aspect of the game. But that it faded just as soon as that. As soon as I just started getting the kill on, it just faded, and realised today's so much more than that. It doesn't really matter what happens on the pitch here. It matters the fact that I'm here finally at last, and I can finally see this city and experience this city on a game day.
Yeah.
So then obviously started getting ready, and I hadn't actually put it all on together. I put bits on it just together, just to make sure it fitted. But I wanted to leave it there for the last second surprise, because there was no way anything was coming off. So I just wanted to have that kind of shock as well, of just seeing myself and thinking, let's just do this thing.
So had you not, when you were at home, not put it all together to have a look at what the full effect was?
Nope, wanted to leave it as mixed individual aspects of it, mixed the wig and I think the top half, but didn't put the kilt on at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to leave it for the full shock effect of just William Wallace wasn't trying on his outfit before he went into battle. So
okay, wow.
What's walk around going, find me a lake? I need to see what I look like.
Exactly. Oh no, send it back. It won't do it.
Yeah.
What's his blueprint?
And so then just set out and just walked down the hotel, past some Bears fans, and even they looked at me and just gave me a little nod and just thought, that's why we've come to the Saints as our away game.
Yeah.
But then stepped outside and then realised that I had essentially had a big woolly hat on and full layers of clothing. So I'm thinking, first thing I'm thinking is just get me to some shade.
Yeah.
But then, so made my way around to the meetup and just seeing the people just looking at me, and it was just a very cool feeling. It felt like being this kind of weird minor celebrity.
Yeah.
As I'm walking through the streets and I'm just getting. People might think I'm a nutter, but it's New Orleans. So that's why, and a lot of people reached out to me before who knew I was dressing up, and they said, "Oh, you're not worried people are going to think, oh, look at that weirdo walking down the street." But then I just said to them, it's New Orleans. You're never going to be the weirdest person there.
No. And you're right about the minor celebrity thing, because, obviously you met Max, Darth Saint, and there are so many people like Max who dress up, and they do become sort of minor celebrities. People look out for them.
That was one of my first real takeaways of the Saints, was they had these people, especially Max, this guy that dressed up as Darth Maul. You don't get that at a Glasgow Warriors rugby game.
When we were sitting in the seats, London turned around and said, "I can't hear Whistle Monster. Where's Whistle Monster?" It's like people know about these super fans, and these people who dress up, who make an effort, and they want to see them and they want to hear them, because that's part of that game day experience. When you're not there every week, it's like, I want to see the Bless You Boys, I want to see Max, Whistle Monster, all those guys. And
exactly. Well, it's sadly not as regular as them, unless I've won the Euro Millions or something. But then obviously got to the meetup with you guys, and I think, Dan, you weren't there quite. I think you were still
being sick again
slightly. Yeah. But it was quite.
Yeah.
It was. There was about 20 odd folk there already, and just seeing everyone's reaction, and it just like to be able to put a smile on someone's face.
Yeah.
Is the best feeling in the world, and just not taking myself too seriously, just having a laugh, and that the whole costume I think kind of embodies New Orleans as a city. That I just said, held my hands up and just said, I'm here. Let's just do this thing.
Mm.
And it's being able to stay true to my word as well. Because I said it months ago, kind of on a whim, that I'm going to dress up as Braveheart. And I never once thought, oh God, I don't want to do this sort of thing. I just totally embraced it from minute one and stuck with it.
Yeah. But you're bringing who you are to the city as well. And you're saying, this is my team and this is me. And this is my culture, an element of my culture from home. And I'm bringing it to the culture of this city and taking some of that culture back with me.
Yeah.
So it's like 100%.
Perfect.
Yeah. And as you said, Charlie, that's the city to do it in, because people look and I said to you when we were over there, how many photos did you get asked to sort of take with people, and you were like, all the time. But that's the beauty of it, because other cities, they sort of maybe shun a person looking like that, or just think, what the hell are they doing? In that city, everybody runs towards it because it's because they embrace it. The whole city, we know the history of the city. We were talking about Mardi Gras a little bit earlier. That's what it's about. It's about dressing up. It's about sort of your culture. It's about showing yourself. It's all peacocking in New Orleans. That's what and great that it is. So yeah,
it'd be good to what would be a good one? I'm getting ahead of myself here, but if we get to play the Texans again in the Dome soon, get Graham to come down. Graham, the Scottish Texan, and you two both go for it.
Yeah,
Kilts and that'd be amazing. Because Graham really, really goes for it, and he looks good. And you give him run for his money with some black and gold on, definitely.
Yeah. So you made it to the tailgate, Alan's tailgate. Obviously, he does fantastic work in the city, and obviously everybody has some food and a drink, and you contribute towards the work that he does. But just seeing you, and you're right, you said it yourself. Obviously, Dan wasn't there when you turned up, but I was, and you're exactly right. It brought a smile to everyone's face. There was almost like a rush of excitement. Just obviously we'd all heard about it, and just seeing you turn up. I do know what you mean though about the shade, because you were struggling with that.
I was fucking struggling when I got out. I walked out of the hotel room. I was like, nope, I'm gonna be sick again. It was so like people in New Orleans would be like, yeah, it's not hot. Like for us, it was because everyone. The other thing is, the Dome is so fucking cold because they got the aircon blowing. So you
thank God.
It's hot outside, but cold inside. It's hard to manage.
Yeah. But so obviously you're at the tailgate. I mean, God, everyone's taking pictures, and and yet again, that's wonderful to see, and it's great. What was lovely is that because obviously we knew how excited you were about getting there. We knew how obviously you were dressing up, but especially in that area in the tailgate, you became the center of attention, which was lovely. Because everybody just got enjoyment from your effort, which is brilliant. That's what that's what everybody wants. So myself and Dan left a little bit earlier than I think you guys did, because obviously I had to make sure Dan got there in his precarious state.
Did I see Charlie at the tailgate? I can't remember. Was you there when Stan Ferret turned up?
I don't think so. No.
All right, you might have headed off before us then. Who did you head off with? So who did you walk up with?
Steve, Mike, and Aaron. So the boys.
And that would have been wonderful in itself, because it would have looked like Steve and Mike were your sort of 1980s Motley Crue bodyguards with their wigs on. So not in a hurry way. That would have emphasized the site even more. So yeah.
Oh, definitely. But to be able to experience that with Steve, who was in a similar boat to myself. Obviously, it wasn't quite his first Saints game, but it was his first Saints game in the Dome, which makes such a difference. That's part of the reason why the two London games, the Dolphins game, the Vikings game that we had, clashed with cousins' weddings of mine.
Yeah.
But I still think if I really, really, really put my life depended on it, sort of thing, I could have got to the games.
Yeah.
But I wanted my first experience of the Saints to be in the Dome and to be nowhere else. But to again get that, kind of the same experience with someone else there just made it all the better. We were just making eye contact with each other, just like little kids on Christmas.
Yeah. I know. I mean, Steve sort of spoke to me afterwards about how emotional he found it, and he found it really emotional. Did you have the same type of emotion sort of coursing through you?
Oh, 100%. So I've never been religious or anything like that, but I equate that to what I imagine religious experiences are like. Just to be, it didn't feel like I was moving. It just felt like I was just floating, and I was just looking and embracing and taking it all in. And I could have been talking, I might not have been talking. Like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
It was just this total, as close to like an out of body experience as pretty much I've had.
Yeah.
And for it to, on you go.
No, I was going to say that's an incredible thing to hear. Obviously, a lot of people in the city sort of say that that the Dome is a church to them anyway. And as you're saying, for you as somebody who doesn't have those beliefs, to sort of equate it to that type of belief is probably anybody in the city who listens to that will understand that immensely. They'll understand exactly where you're going with that.
And for it to be so many years in the making as well. So there was pressure on me to enjoy it because I've been waiting on it for 12 years. But never once did it feel that way. Everything purely felt in the moment. I was just there with other Saints fans, finally. And especially like sitting where I'm sitting now, like that's how I've always experienced pretty much every other Saints game. It's just been sitting on my own. I've tried to convince some of my friends to become Saints fans over the year, but it's just never really worked. And so I've never really watched the Saints with anyone else, apart from people on Twitter or occasionally in the Zoom.
Yeah.
And then to have that rush of just going from one person to 70,000 people was just staggering.
Yeah. So you obviously who took that legendary picture of you? Was it one of the boys?
It was Steve. It was Steve.
Yeah.
Steve offered to with his photography know-how, which came in clutch.
We'll get on to Steve. I think it was at the meetup on Saturday night, and me and Steve were saying, right, I'll take a picture, and he was doing a selfie, and he was getting really close and moving around. I was like, mate, that's a little bit too close. He went, no, I used to do photography. And then he showed me the picture, and I was like, oh yeah, you used to do photography.
Oh yeah,
he really knows what he's doing even with a phone camera. So yeah, sorry, carry on, Charlie.
And yeah, just to be able to just seeing myself in the picture was actually quite nice, because it kind of let me pause for a second to actually concentrate on something that wasn't just my surroundings. It was on an actual physical thing in front of me that wasn't live in the moment, if you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
And it gave me this chance just to take scope and think, like, we've done it, we're here, sort of thing. And there's no look, like, you can tick it off, you've been at the Superdome.
Yeah.
And then what that led into was just the possibilities that it can bring over the coming years.
Yeah, it is like what I would akin to like doing crack. No, I've never done crack. But I'll caveat that now. I've never done crack, but it's like you inject it into your veins, and you want it again and again and again, and you want it every year. You know, I'm sure Michael attests to it. You know, I walked up with Mike. We left because obviously I was a bit fragile. Maybe the the events in the morning played a little bit into it. But Mike turned around, I was fucking crying as we standing outside the Dome, because I just like. At one point, 2 or 3 hours ago, I was like, I can't even get out of bed. I'm not even going to be able to do this thing that I've been planning for and so excited about. And then I got fucking tears streaming down my face standing in Champion Square like a right wuss. But it's overwhelming.
But it is, and I've been, even though I've only been able to visit the city sort of regularly in the last, I think it's 5 years. I've been fortunate to visit the city and go to the Dome for a Brit, I think, a fairly regular basis. And I never take it for granted. Obviously, I think we've spoken before about, there are fans in the city who obviously at times unhappy and moan and this and that, and I understand that, but how can you? I could not ever take for granted going into that arena, because you're right, Charlie. I'm like you. I'm not religious in the slightest, but I find it a very spiritual experience when I go to the Dome. That's how I find it. So I never take it for granted. But then also when we were walking up, and I obviously my relationship with Dan over the last 3 years, I'm aware of how passionate he is about the Saints, but just how passionate he is about the culture in the city. And then I sort of forgot that it was your second time going there, Dan. Is that right? Yeah. Even though you've been to the city on a regular basis,
Oh, wow.
it was only the second time and it was separated by sort of 5 years almost, wasn't it? So when that 2019, wasn't it?
Oh.
Yeah. So when Dan was getting sort of emotional about it, it sort of hit me that fuck me, I really understand why you're getting emotional about it, and also it isn't feeling great before.
But I had a funny enough, I had a conversation on similar lines to what you're talking about here with Elise at the meetup on the Saturday night before.
Yeah,
and I was saying to we were talking about negativity in in Discords and Twitter and stuff, and I said, what you got to remember is people say, they say to us, "Oh, you're too positive, the Brits or whatever." I don't ever take this team for granted, because it's a privilege for me to watch this team, because for the first 20-something years of my life, I didn't even know they existed. And I'm catching up on missed time, so I don't want to spend my time being overly negative.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And again, that's probably when I was saying about Saints fans who live there who might moan or whatever. That's probably a little bit unfair, because obviously, Dan, you probably can talk on it better than I can. You used to be a Tottenham season ticket holder. You are probably, without even knowing you, then I bet you.
My condolences, Dan.
Yeah,
we all. Arsenal and Chelsea.
Well, wait. Yeah, Charlie, you're walking on fucking really thin ground here, mate. Because even though that bloke over there is a Tottenham fan, I hate you lot even more. So steady on. So, and it's that sort of thing. Yet again, there is sometimes there's got to be context and perspective, which is, I'm sure you moaned your tits off about Tottenham at times, even though you're a season ticket holder. If there's a guy in Minneapolis who's a Tottenham fan, and he's able to make the trip over sort of on the regularity that we can to see the Saints, he'd probably feel the same about going to see Tottenham getting stuffed 3-1 by Brentford. Takes it in as an experience. Or 2-1 with 2 late goals after the 90th minute.
I was watching Miss Marvel today. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, right. Okay. Anyway. But no. So I just wanted to, I suppose at times there has to be context, but it still doesn't change the way that we feel about going to that place and what it feels to us and how much we value it. So you've done, sorry, Dan, go on, mate.
No, I'm probably going the same lines as you. I was going to say you get to the bottom of the steps and you walk up, and then how are you feeling as you come up? You see Mr. Benson statue, and you see the goals.
Just for a second, just to touch on what you were saying before about just being there. I put so much in the build-up about having a winning record going into the game. And obviously we ended up being 500, but obviously going into it, I was thinking, imagine how more amazing it'd be if we were 6-2 or something. Yeah. But not once the whole day did I think about what record we have.
No.
Whether that just couldn't care less. I really couldn't have cared whether we were a winless team or an unbeaten team on Sunday. It was just about. Obviously, if we'd been, unbeaten, it had been a bit louder and stuff like that. But it still really wouldn't have really changed the whole day for me.
No, and yet again, we've talked about it countless times on this pod. Myself and Dan's first game was that heartbreak no call game. That was devastating. But the mixture of emotions that I'm sure both myself and Dan had at that time is that because we'd made it to the Dome. And that result was devastating, but we'd still made it to the Dome. I could remember, I could bottle that feeling and give it to you
and I don't get too ahead of ourselves, but when I walked through the doors of the Dome for the first time, and you look and you can see the field right in front of you on the 100s,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how that felt other than it was like one of the best feelings ever, because it was like, I'm here after 15 years of fandom. I've got to, it's a little bit longer than what you've waited, Charles, but it's like, it's still, once you get past that 10 years and you see it for the first time, I can't even still, if I could bottle it and inject it, I would do it, because it was one of the best feelings ever.
Yeah. Dan, can I just say, you need to stop referring to drugs and injections and crap. We swear and get drunk on this pod, but we want it to be a family pod at some point.
It's like when the Saints had the shit bug the other week.
Yeah,
they was all on the I was going to say on the juice. They weren't on the juice. They was all on the the hydrations with the IVs. Rehydrated.
Okay. Like yeah. All right. So God, So I think Dan was touching it, Charles. You've obviously you've walked up, you've seen the statue, and what
and
happened
just
from there on?
So I made sure I went right up and touched the Gleeson statue. Just had to be near it. It's like, I wasn't a Saints fan back then, but like there was a big ALS, MND is Scottish, as British people call it. There was a Scottish rugby player who had that a couple of years ago, and sadly, tragically passed away quite recently with it, but after a very long struggle. And so that disease has really hit home, I think, with a lot of British people, especially British rugby fans.
Yeah.
And just knowing what Steve Gleeson's meant to the city, and knowing that what he's meant to the city that I care so much about, and what he's done for the city as well that I care so much about. And having watched all these documentaries about him, just had to go and pay my respects to an absolute legend. And then so made my way around from there, got round, because I was right on the other side, so made my way all the way around. And as I stepped in and I saw it, it was like nothing my eyes had ever seen before. How, even from something as purely as how clear it was like watching on some television that's going to come out in the year 4050.
Super HD, isn't it? When you're in it, it's super HD when you see it. And I don't think it's that your senses are heightened because you've gone in there.
You've taken it back.
Exactly
because I think someone was like had to barge past me, because I was stood still for a good 5, 10, 15 seconds and just kind of shook out of it.
You're just transfixed, aren't you? You really are.
And then I was like a spaniel chasing after a stick, just going right down, just straight in, beeline. Nothing else mattered in the whole world than just getting down to as close to the field as I could. And then just getting to see it and looking up at just how beautiful she is.
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me, is like, holy crap, Alvin Kamara's 30 yards that way.
Yeah.
And then that's just having that all together. It just was like, as great as being outside was, I think that moment being actually inside of it, like it was right up there. It's just like single kind of moments of my life. It's right up there. The feelings that I had, and just how it just built up, and it just got better and better and better and better, and then reached that climax. Was what I thought was the climax, but then obviously it continued on as the atmosphere grew.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and yet again we talk about, even now, it's like we were in the we were fighting for oxygen in the 600s. We were right at the back where we. It was like
the view was amazing though. The view was
but that's the again,
22
in the Dome, you don't get a bad view. Obviously, where we were, part of the beauty of where we are is that you can see the plays unfold. You can see things in such intricate detail. You can see the routes that are being run, and who's open, and but the one thing that always strikes me is like you see it on, and it's touching on the point that you were making earlier, the pair of you, is that when you see it on the TV and when you get into it, it's almost like that immeasurable ultra HD. It just but also I always forget about the size of it. It's an indoor arena, and the size of it is just breathtaking. Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
looks so much bigger inside than from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge.
And yeah, like
Yeah.
I've been to big stadiums before. I'm sure you guys have as well.
Yeah.
But like Murrayfield is 3,000 seats less than Superdome, basically the same size. But Murrayfield felt like going to like a Scottish lower league side, like going to Stirling Albion's ground or someone like that. And
no disrespect to Stirling Albion, by the way, on the pod, in case there are any Stirling Albion fans tuning in.
I used to be a massive Stirling Albion fan. My best mate used to play for them, and that was one of my great sporting memories when he scored the winning promotion goal. But by the by, we're getting just there's the love for Stirling Albion. I'm on the Beanos.
Yeah.
But just the sheer scope and size of it, and the amenities as well. It was just an incredible how to organize a sports game. Just looking at like taking a step back and just being there for a sports game. If I was just there as a neutral fan, who didn't really have that emotional connections to it, it would have still been unbelievable. Like I'm thinking about my friends who are not really NFL fans and have already reached out to me to say, "Oh, we need to come with you next year," sort of thing.
Yeah.
It'll be incredible for them, just as sports fans, just to be in an arena that incredible and that mesmerizing and that well equipped.
That'll convert them.
Yeah.
Take them over.
Well,
we
I think we already
had
got
one conversion.
Mike Miguel. I think
Finesse.
Yeah, Miggy Finesse has converted. And we'll have to wait and see once the furore dies down for him. But he came back and I think he was saying, Steve, but buy me in. And you sort of. I met him after the game. I've never seen somebody who is a fan of another team so excited about watching another team.
I
think
he's a casual Chiefs fan, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he admits to that himself. But it was remarkable seeing just because obviously I know yourself, Charlie. I know Steve was just overwhelmed by it, but I couldn't believe that Miguel was as overwhelmed by it as well. And that was a guy who's not a fan. In theory, supports another team, but fair play to him. He went all in on supporting the Saints that day, and I think he came out supporting the Saints that day.
He said it's the best holiday of his life.
Yeah. I'm not surprised, and we'll get into that later. But I'm not surprised. But yeah, so that whole you were in really good seats as well, weren't you?
Yeah,
Charlie?
So I was 141, about row 17. So I was on about the kind of 35-yard line ish.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable seats, and just getting the view, and just it was amazing just to see what went on the sideline, and just being And the reason why I wanted to sit, I think next time when I go back, I'll definitely sit a bit higher, just to get, like you guys say, get the all 22 feel of it, see plays unfolding. That's why whenever I go to rugby, I sit up very high for that exact reason. But the reason I wanted to be down low was to be just purely proximity, and also to feel the size of the hits, to see the speed of the players as close as possible. And then even getting a sense of that in warm-ups, or even seeing them running out, was just that was building again. Like I said, all day it just built and built and built, and that was just another step up.
So it's like literally at every stage, you're just breathing it in, aren't you? It's just everything. You're immersing yourself in it.
We sat down. That's what, when we went to see the Jets play the Saints at MetLife. Me and Mike went. We sat at that sort of level, and probably around about those kind of seats, Mike. We're just behind the dugout, and you do really get a different feel for it, because that was a game that Taysom went in a couple of times. It is quicker. I do think it looks quicker when you're down lower.
Yeah,
and it's similar when I go and see boxing. If you're up in the gods, boxing, a punch looks a little bit slower because it just takes.
It's almost like it feels like there's a delay. Yeah. So who were you? So who were you sitting by? What were people's reactions to you?
So I was surrounded by. So to my left was a couple of college age couple, just quite like nice looking couple, and they found it hilarious. They were thinking it was just. And then her grandmother was in front, and I think the grandmother would have happily left her husband for me that day.
The accent.
And
it's hot. Yeah, heartbreak Dunn there on the sideline.
And then and it was totally brought in by everyone. There was a few kind of questionable looks, but then my response, if anyone looked at me for longer than kind of 2 seconds with that slightly quizzical look on their face, I would just do a double finger point at them and just shout "Braveheart," and then either they would go, "Oh yeah," or they'd go still. And I was just thinking, lost cause.
Is it rocking with a freedom?
Yeah. There were a few freedoms. There were quite a few freedoms.
Yeah.
Freedom was was actually my third down shout that I was shouting. Everyone else was shouting goal. I was just in the middle shouting.
Get that man on the sidelines. Get that man on the sidelines.
I was gonna say, you hear it. You're sitting there, he's like, "That's another Saints freedom." Third down.
Rhymes with taste them a little bit. We could work something in there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we could get a little song going. They were singing up at American Sports.
Right, let's get a T-shirt going.
Back on track.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry, Charlie. Carry on, my friend.
And so then, actually, the 2 seats next to me were completely empty for till about 2 minutes left in the first quarter.
Okay.
And so they actually came in mid-play. So I'm kind of thinking, oh God, please just let it be someone normal. Please don't let it be a Bears fan. Please don't let it be like a depressed Saints fan or something like that. And luckily, as I turn around, it's 2 absolute 10 out of 10s walk in.
Yeah.
Sit down next to me. So I'm thinking,
wait. Are you talking 10 out of 10 Saints fans? Or are you talking 10 out of 10 female Saints fans?
The latter. Definitely the latter. So I'm just thinking, I have full on died and gone to heaven here. This day.
Can I just point out to the audience who may not have seen Charles's pictures? Charles' definition in his arms is pretty decent. I know that Charles. Well, this sounds rude, but I know that Charles was tensing when those girls came in.
Down.
Just need to scratch my back.
I know that when we scored touchdowns, you were fully.
Oh yes, everything.
Charlie was just rushing off to the toilet to put his baby oil on.
Bust out a few push-ups on the steps on the way back.
So anyway, these Saints fans sat next to you.
So they were absolutely enthralled with me. As luckily, I was like, fuck yeah, they don't think I'm a weirdo.
Wait, can I ask, Charlie, are you taking the wig off by this point?
No, Wig totally stayed.
And they were enthralled with you with that wig on.
The wig on,
yeah. Sorry, mate.
And so it was actually just in the end of the day, it was just nice being able to sit with someone, because the other couple next to me, they were just kind of having their own little thing. So for the first 7 minutes of the game, I was just kind of sitting on my own, but which was amazing as well, just getting caught up in it.
Yeah.
But then to have those people there to, always high five after a good play,
bounce off, interact
with,
and
and just raise each other's levels.
Yeah,
and that's
little
the
cuddle,
best thing about sports.
Kiss.
Come here. You know it.
Let's get this pod on the straight and narrow again, shall we?
I was going to say, we had some people turn up about 7 minutes late and were fucking Bears fans.
Our boy Joey nearly had a punch up with one of them. He'll admit that himself. They were a little bit sort of too aggressive behind him. And Joey is a very passionate Saints fan when he watches it live. Never sits down.
He don't sit down.
And then it diffused it. I think the Saints scored. He turns around, was a bit aggressive, like in his celebration. But then I think they respected him, and it was all pretty cool. We were surrounded by Bears fans. That's part of the problem, I think, when you go into the 600s, is that obviously they're cheaper tickets. Anybody who's traveling, probably on a budget, they're going to try and hit those seats. But no, it was all good. It was good.
And but just as the kind of game itself, obviously the first half wasn't a classic for us. Defense was a bit holy. Offense were playing okay, which was nice, but there was no kind of big scream, get out your seat, huge plays.
No.
but even still, I think that intensified like Adebo's first interception. Not that we did anything off it. Pretty sure we didn't do anything off that one.
We didn't do anything with any of them, Charlie.
No.
So
yeah, but that having just those moments, and I've always said that my favorite non-scoring play in any sport is an American football interception by an absolute mile. Just to have that sitting there, just doing, you're nervous, nothing's going to happen. Oh my God, something has happened.
Yeah.
To have that 0 to nothing. And that actually,
in some ways, doesn't it? It's like it comes from nothing in some ways. It's like when you watch a soccer game and someone just 40 yards out, just absolutely curls on the top corner. You're not expecting it. It's that's when it. Unfortunately, I was down in the getting myself a Sprite to try and sort myself out when that interception happened. But I heard it before I saw it on the screen. I knew because I had the same thing in the NFC Championship game. DeMario did it. I was having a leak, and I just heard the place erupt, and I knew straight away it was an interception because you just know.
Were you hungry, Dan? Is that game? Were you hungry?
Which game?
Americans may not know what you were talking about there from a leak.
I'm taking the piss.
No, you're having.
I was urinating.
Yeah, there you go. You were using the bathroom, the restroom.
Restroom. Put stickers up, probably.
Yeah, yeah. But you're right. I think obviously you're because again in that game, like great defense is great defense, so you can get behind it. But obviously, when there's an interception, it changes the game in a way that I don't think in many other sports it can. Obviously, I think the only thing bigger than that would be the pick six sort of thing.
Yes.
But yeah, so you were there. You with your friends to the left and your
that's what we'll stick with.
Right. So you get that. So as the game goes on, how are you finding it?
One thing that really struck me was because I'm just a massive sports fan, as I'm sure you can see from my wall behind me, all the different clippings. Was how much I enjoyed watching, especially the defense play.
Yeah,
and what I think as a sport, it's like I pretty much every sport outside of golf and cricket, unless you're sitting behind the bowler in cricket, is better live. Golf and cricket, you can watch them on the TV. I'd probably prefer that.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that I'd rather go and watch rugby, football, all these sports live. And I wasn't 100% sure about American football. I thought I would prefer it live, but because there's a lot going on at once. There's a lot of impact to the play. But after about, I think it took me maybe 5 minutes, especially on offense, to watch, it was absolutely just incredible to see live and you got such a greater understanding for it. And I think that's the beauty of American football is that your scope to learn more is infinite almost.
Yeah.
That you're never going to complete it. And seeing it live just put it in a totally different light in my eyes as a sport. And there's so many more avenues I can go down with it.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who don't even watch the ball. They'll watch other parts of the field because that's what they enjoy. So some people just watch the linebackers and that's their focus on each snap. And I try and move it around. I'll look at the
same. I was trying to do.
We both read the book, Take Your Eye Off the Ball, which is all about just understanding more around it. But actually, if you follow those players, inevitably they will lead to a play at some point anyway. So, but even like offense, watching the route running and just seeing where they take their cuts and what routes they're running.
The way that they move as well is just unlike anything. Like I've seen like elite, like best rugby, like All Blacks rugby players play a lot of times. But the way Olavi can cut and turn on a dime, and the way his foot, it's how precise and how perfect their foot movement is. And then how they turn their bodies as well, how you can see them using everywhere from there right down to their toes to help them run and to help them move. It was, and just how it made so much sense. I've never seen any athlete make so much more sense than someone like Olavi or AK or Shahid, these real, true top 0.001% athletes on the planet.
But that also gives you a better understanding of when things are not going right. Because obviously you're talking about they have to facilitate every aspect of their body in order to, the cuts have to be absolutely on point. And so you understand sometimes when it's so much easier to be off a little bit in American football than it is probably in most sports, because it's so precise.
Yes.
And as you're saying, Trey, you sort of get a better understanding of that when you see it live. And you spoke when we were over there. You were speaking about the fact that obviously being a huge fan of rugby in this country, you feel that sort of gave you a little bit of a sort of a head start, maybe watching the game, because there are certain similarities that you see. Was that right, mate?
So there's not necessarily that many similarities in the rules.
No,
but outside of that, it is a very similar game. It is this slower paced game. The ball is still for a lot of time in rugby, like it is in American football. Yeah. And it is still the same ideologies can be converted to apply to play the game. You play the game in a lot of different styles, and a lot of different styles can win you the game. And you can only just cherry pick, just change a few minor differences, and you've kind of gone from American football to rugby.
Yeah.
And it gave me a great appreciation. Obviously, like, certain rules are different. Tackling's way different in rugby and American football, but you've still got to get yourself in position. The same basic mindset applies to making a tackle. Same with carrying the ball. You've still got to make sure it's in correct hands and what have you. And I think it just gave me, it didn't really help me with the rules, but it felt a natural sport for me to watch, having grown up watching rugby since I was 15 days old. I went to my first game at Murrayfield.
Yeah.
And so to have that,
I was going to say, I've watched 3 games of rugby in my life. Only 3 games. England against.
Do you mean?
Australia.
Wait, sorry, Dan. Do you mean live or on the TV?
No, on telly.
All right.
I've watched 3 games of rugby. That's it. Ever. I watched it when England beat Australia in the World Cup in 2003. I watched England lose to South Africa 4 years ago. And then I watched the game more recently. England lost to South Africa.
Yeah,
but
4 years ago.
As well, I was watching the game a couple of weeks ago, and all I took away was their punting. So every time they were kicking and trying to pin them down, to me that was they're punting the ball to try and push them as far back down the field as possible. I don't understand rugby, but that was the one thing that I watched when that's a punt.
Territory is so important.
It's just pushing people back to make it harder for them to get to the end zone or the try zone or whatever it's fucking called in rugby. I ain't got a clue.
Yeah.
But it's the same concept, isn't it? It's just about pushing someone back so they can't score.
They're probably the 2 only sports where territory matters a lot more than possession. Not necessarily a lot more, but if I had to pick and choose, would I rather have slightly better field position but kind of lose the time of possession, or vice versa? Give me the slightly better field position.
Yeah.
And it's the same. I think the same applies in rugby, and it's and to have that that mindset of we're not going to get beat here. You're not going to get us. No. We're going to be sensible.
Yeah. Yeah. But you make again, it's like talking about the similarities, and this actually, yet again, we're talking about field position. The game on last Sunday when we were all out there, yet again, we didn't take advantage of the field positions that we had. Yet again, first half, I mean, it was so frustrating watching, especially where we were watching the defense up in the gods, and you can see things unfolding, and it was like, so again, and I think that's the 4th game in a row where the defense in the first half has just been really, is that slow. we know what you are about, and is that all you're going to give us in the first half? And don't get me wrong, the fact that DA can make these adjustments is absolutely fantastic. But the problem is we're sort of putting ourselves in a position where, and we've had it a few times this year, we're putting ourselves in a position where we can lose, as opposed to, so there are times when we've lost games, and Sunday was having the field position that we had and not taking advantage of it almost felt criminal. No, don't get me wrong, we won, we were there, we won, we did enough, that was great, but that could have been so much more comfortable. And then I don't know if any of you guys watched the game on Thursday night with the Bears and the Panthers. Those 2 teams are very, very bad average teams.
Awful.
And for us to have not taken advantage was frustrating. So you've got this thing where I don't think the offense and defense you could probably say the Patriots, but I still don't think offensively against the Patriots we were that spectacular. I think defensively we were good, but the Patriots on that day were awful. So
it's the same thing every week. Something's off. We
Yeah.
haven't clicked.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I keep
We've
saying
not had it all working.
People go, I don't want to say anything specific because I'll be calling people out, and I don't want to do that. People have got their own views, and people say this is this. Do you know, it's not. It's all of it. It's all of it.
Yeah,
You can't just say it's Derek Carr. It's Pete Carmichael. Carmichael's called some good games the last couple of years. He's done all right. Execution. Olave. Look, I don't want to piss anyone off. Olave, there's something not right there. He's got to work through it. He's going to work through it, and he'll be all right on the other side.
He's a very good player.
Hold your hands up and say he's not in the right state of mind at the moment, and things aren't clicking for him. It's okay to say that. It's not a slight on Chris Olave. It's you just saying he's a human being, and something's not working for him at the moment. If it's Derek Carr, it's Derek Carr. If it's something that's personal, it's something that's personal. That's what it is. The biggest thing for me this season, and I'm going to say it, and I'm sorry, I love the guy, Cam Jordan. Man, fucking hell, I want Peyton Turner fit soon.
Same. I thought it was the only one.
Yeah.
I thought I was the only one.
For Anderson, how have we gone from last couple of years like, interior is not great to be going, that's our strength on the D line because Blinky and Brazil are great, and Shepard's a great rotation guy. So is Malcolm Roach.
And Roach is probably having his best season as a Saint.
Yeah.
Look at the ends. You're like, Granderson. Like, I've been on Granderson for a while. I bought his card because I'm on Granderson Mountain. I knew about him when he was coming out of
Granderson Mountain. All right, slow down, son.
Montana, somewhere like that. He's somewhere in them. He played for a mountain.
Wyoming.
Like,
I think
the defensive line is a concern and a positive in the same time, which is a little bit alarming, I think.
Yeah. I think you both touched on it. It's like obviously, and again, we're nailing our colours to a sail where we still don't know what it's going to be like because you both mentioned Peyton Turner, and I know obviously in the off season and stuff he looked like he got it, but we need that rotational piece. The thing I can't remember, I saw it looked. I'm sure it was on the SBP Discord where they were saying, "Can he still getting double teamed?" And obviously he's aging.
They're both getting double teamed.
But you're absolutely right. At the moment, Cam unfortunately doesn't look like even half the player he was last year. We need an extra spark there because at some point your cornerbacks are going to get found out. Not because they're not good players, but because the QB is going to have a better QB, and that's a big part of it. Is that we've not played, apart from probably Trevor Lawrence. We've not played top-level QBs. Can you imagine, without the pressure coming, what top-level QBs can possibly do to us? And that's a concern.
The defensive player that I miss the most that's left us over the past few years isn't Marcus Williams. I thought Marcus Williams was brilliant, but have we really missed him that much? There's been very few big plays that he would have prevented anyway.
Yeah.
It is, and he was only in a minor role, and it only came to fruition last year. But it's Caden Ellis. We have totally not been able to replace him this year, and his value to the defense, especially around this time of year last season, was undeniable. There were stretches where you could have made the case that he was the best player in the defense for
without doubt,
pretty much this time last year, and we found nobody to even.
He gave you the extra option of rushing the passer, didn't he?
Yeah.
But Zach Baum could do that if they use him as a pass rusher rather than trying to use him as an off-ball linebacker. I don't care. He was a defensive end at Wisconsin, so
that's always something. It's just like, but whenever he's done it, and he's always looked, and I always it's obviously a very different thing, but he looks good when he's trying to rush the punter. He always gets a bit of bend on the edge. He looks like he's got pass rushing technique. And I don't know why we don't. And having that speed option would be such a nice change up for us to have instead of being married to. And look at Granderson this year. Granderson isn't a stereotypical Saints defensive end that meets all their metrics. He's a little bit small. I think he's 6'5" instead of 6'.
Slightly undersized compared to the others. Bit
lighter
as well than the others, isn't he? The other defensive ends
and quicker. And you see him use his speed and use his feet. I mean, his footwork's by far the best of a defensive end I've seen in our place in a while.
But didn't he also this offseason he lost weight, I think, as well.
I do think Todd
because that was
Grantham is changing that.
Yeah, that was the direction of travel. So he obviously, and God, doesn't that look like the best contract that we've had in the last 2 or 3 years of picking someone up? Yeah, absolutely.
But on the other side of the defensive line, we've just given Cam a new contract, and it doesn't look so.
But also, yet again, we do have this thing where a lot of the time, you know, as age comes on, like, you know, obviously, we use them as rotational pieces.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, at the moment, is that obviously with age, you know, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, especially in a physical industry. When age starts to sort of creep up on you, you need a little bit more rest. You need a little bit more, you know. But if you've got somebody who can step in and maybe do a bit of a job, then maybe it's not so glaring. And at the moment, obviously, Turner's out. You know, Foskey had started to appear a little bit more, hadn't he? So, and now he's out. I think you're a big Taco Charlton fan, aren't you, Dan?
I was about to say, Taco Charlton is a free agent. He spent a season and a half with us, or a season with us. Took off the practice squad. Pick him up and just put him in rotation and let him go again. If you haven't got the bodies at defensive end, just bring someone who knows the system. That's why I would look at it. I was genuinely going to say Taco Charlton. Because like Foskey is still, I still think Foskey's a developmental player. He's changing from a 3-4 to a 4-3. He was a 2-point stance player. Now we want to be a 3-point stance player. It's a big change for him.
But his snaps are increasing. His snaps are increasing. You know, he almost got the fumble. Was it last week or the week before? So look, we're a bit light in those rotational pieces, you know. So it's something that we have to look at, because if you don't look at it,
strength and depth.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry, Charlie. Like, so obviously from the game perspective, you're watching it. You obviously, where you were and watching it live, you can understand the game even more than you do. And anybody who follows you on Twitter knows that you understand the game very well anyway. So you were just getting a little bit more of an insight into actually how things happen and work.
Yes, and I think just especially what I got the greatest appreciation was probably the timing element of it all.
Yeah.
Of how, like you said earlier, how precise it has to be. You do not get that same effect during the TV, because obviously the camera's moving, the camera's closing in, it's widening out. So you don't get that real kind of actual time sense that you do when you're standing still. Obviously there's stuff going on around you, but you can manage just to cut through the wash and see just how well balanced it is as a thing, and how well it has to work. And you appreciate that during the week and all of off season, the work that they must put in is just incredible. Like, unlike training at football, you like our soccer, football, American. We're talking about American football here. And like, I know like how training works for that, and it's a lot more just on kind of basic shape sort of thing. You just kind of go through the motions a bit more.
Triangles and all that shit in it.
Yeah. But how detail orientated training must be for American football, and how intelligent the players must be to understand it. And that in itself, seeing that live, that just gave me that kind of wash of that understanding, that realization that, holy shit, this must be impossible to learn.
Yeah.
And you can see why so people make it.
In Jeff Duncan's book, he talks about Sean Payton and Drew Brees, and he'd said they'd bring wide receivers in. And if that wide receiver continued to line up half a yard away from where he was supposed to be at the line, they'd be like, yeah, get rid of him. He can't get it. Yeah. Like they said, it was you're talking about inches in terms of where you just stand, because they said Drew, that will throw Drew off, because Drew's rhythm and he knows where he's going, and it's got to be. People laugh at me, go, it's not a hard sport. They just run and catch. It's fucking so technical, so difficult. And until you get into the sport, you don't really understand how technically it is, how technical it is as a game. It's unbelievable. It's not just about being an athlete. It's about knowing your rhythm, your cadence. Who would have thought a sport where cadence matters?
Yes, and how many tails you can give away, and how you can,
like where your hands planted, what angle your foot's at. It's like, yeah. And
Like,
you were
we
touching on it earlier when we were talking about soccer, and you were talking, obviously, soccer, there's structure, but a lot of the thing about soccer is that you still have individuality within structure in soccer. In American football, you don't particularly have that, because you could be the most talented athlete on the pitch, but if you haven't got the mentals, as in what is the structure, what is the route, what is all those things, if you haven't got that aspect, then you're not going to play the game at a high level.
No.
In
You're
soccer,
a Delta rat, aren't you?
yeah, exactly. But you're right. But in soccer, you can get away with it to a point, as long as you've got a supporting cast. Yeah.
And that's also something you can get away with in rugby to lesser extent of soccer.
Yeah.
But you can get away with that more just being a mutant who just can barge through anyone. But if you don't have if you have no nuance in American football, you're never gonna see it. You're never gonna see a snap in your life.
No, absolutely.
And they're gonna spot that from practice. They're never gonna just try out and just say, "Oh, you might turn it around in the game," because it really is one of these things. If you're not doing it in practice, you're certainly not going to be able to do it in the game.
Well, you see that in the jump from college football to professional football, because there are so many college players who are, I mean, immense, unbelievable athletes, just like off the scale athletes, and never make it in the professional game. And for the reasons that we've spoken about,
Stanley Team Baptiste.
Swiftly moving on.
even on Sunday, like me and Mike were talking about the QB, the Bears QB, Bajan or Bagent, whatever his name is. And I was saying the first half we let him play like a Tyson, Tyrone, TikTok. If we said first off, we let him play like a college QB. We if he couldn't get the read, we had plenty of avenues for him to run through, and he was getting yards of his feet. Second half, we made adjustments. We said, right, now we're going to make you throw the ball.
Yeah.
We're going to take that away. You're going to have to throw the ball. And what happens? We get like 3 picks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shows you. They can't get by on it forever, the college model.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But anyway, Charlie,
you've never gone up
your
against
experience. Sorry, Charlie, I was saying, going back to you, because obviously you're with the young ladies on your left, you're with the other people on your right. You're watching everything sort of unfold in front of yourself, but just what were you feeling? You know, your first Saints touchdown in the Dome. What was that like?
It was just. It's hard to put into words. It really is. It's hard to, because I mean, even up here, like, cause I still live with my parents, live on the farm.
Yeah.
Like, I run the risk of every primetime game waking them up because I'm celebrating every single touchdown. I just can't help myself. It's just a natural response I have.
It's an emotive response.
A gold helmet across the end zone.
Yeah.
But I just started shouting and I just didn't stop shouting. It was just this one long sort of note that just and it was like after maybe 30 seconds or so, I was just like, I managed to hold that for that sort of length of time. I didn't know I had that in me. And then just to be able to,
as well, it's the bit up. Sorry, go on. Go. Sorry, I've interrupted. Please go on.
And just to have that, and then I kind of just got this like buzz and this weird, like, not ringing in my head, but a kind of vibration almost of just this.
Yeah.
Right, that's another thing. You've seen that. Tick it off.
Yeah.
You're just giddy with excitement, I would say.
Yeah.
And then they follow it up with the songs. So, apologies to our guy Max. I know he said in 28-3 that we should stop it, but it still, as a newer fan, hearing Stand Up and Get Crunk and Chopper Style, when you haven't been there before, you haven't heard it a million times, gets you going.
Yeah.
Like,
you
know about it, and you start, and you're up, and
you're just, and who cares? Who cares? And you're giving the teddy bees and it was also, like you say, but the music there, it was also like the best. I've not been to many concerts at all. Like, just like, I think I went to like McFly in the Armadillo in with my like, with my P4 crush.
Can we cut that out? Do you reckon we can
I quite like McFly. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, look, I can't argue. Anybody who's old enough, and I went to see Bros live, so I can't argue.
Well,
But what I
Ironically, at
went
the
to
time,
school for is a classic.
oh, that's busted. Oh, that's busted, is it not?
Oh,
Oh,
shit!
so
Yeah,
I
it
was-
is. No, but
yeah,
I,
so
I
I'm
that
think we
thinking
need
of,
to. I think we need to cut this whole
Stargate.
section.
They merged. No, but they merged together. Busted and
Yeah,
McFly.
they did,
merged
They
together.
did.
they
They
did.
did. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So-
Anyway,
so-
moving
Both of
on.
them were
Shit,
class.
we're really showing ourselves up.
we just. I actually preferred busted. I was gutted that I was going to McFly. But
Charlie,
by the
we're moving on. Come on, mate.
No,
Um,
let's reminisce.
So yeah, and it was like the best concert I've ever been to. The
Yeah.
sound system is incredible. The bass on Chalky Style, the bass and stand up and Greg Crunk, and even the
Yeah.
announcer as well. It was just hearing that, being able just to the energy in his voice. It wasn't just try for Scotland
Move
sort of thing. It was a change. It was just
Exactly.
unbelievable. Like
So nice little segue. Just maybe we'll clip this, but I won't clip this bit. But we would love to get the guy who's the announcer to do like that's a SaintsCityMe first down. Move them chains. Just send it to us. 30
unbelievable.
seconds long. Let's find him. Get him to send it to us.
Hey,
love
I reckon if we got in touch with Paul Mitchell, he might have a contact to get us through there. Because obviously,
it.
he's got
maybe,
contact.
him or get him and no, he knows the guy, doesn't he? The
Yeah.
caller. See if he can get it to do it for us. It'd only be like 30 seconds. Send us a voice memo.
Yeah.
Just like the one we got for a future episode from the cab driver. But we'll
anyway.
park that.
So you can clip that part, but the busted and all that shit.
No, Busted's getting posted first.
Yeah, but right. So yeah, so all of that, the concert feel, and it is a concert feel. And yet again, American sports fans won't understand Brits saying that because we don't get that in the UK.
No,
doesn't matter what sport it is. The only thing, actually, I think they sort of do that, and I've been to a couple of. Is it the 100? You know, the cricket 100.
Oh yeah, yes,
they do a little
do
bit of that.
Yeah.
They're starting to jazz it up a little bit, and it is. But it's a really weird thing. It's like it adds to the value of watching what essentially is T20 cricket.
Yeah,
and it really does. And also it brings younger fans in, and and that was the thing that I was most impressed with, the energy when I went to when I've been to T20 and all that, and the way they're trying to change it. It's a very Americanized version of sport, but it sort of works.
Credit where credit's due. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think sport. Oh, you go, Dan.
No, I was just going to say, in terms of concert thing as well. Obviously, I go to amateur or lower level ice hockey in the UK, and they do the national anthems at the ice hockey now.
Yeah.
That national anthem, how did you find that? Because that is
the
national anthem I find blows me away. And she had some pipes.
But also, can I just say on that, like obviously that was your first American football game. Me and Dan have been to a few, been to the NFL in London. I have to admit, her version of that anthem was stunning.
Oh,
absolutely stunning.
I was there like that.
Yeah.
I didn't sing along out of respect, but she was phenomenal.
It was that to hear that as a first rendition, was incredible, and it just sets the tone for the whole game. Having that, and as well, I actually quite appreciate the fact that because obviously over here everyone sings the national anthem, and if you don't sing it, like you must be a fan of the other team, sort of thing.
Wait. Can we also segue there? When Charles is talking about over here, he's talking about Scotland. In England.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because it's been hijacked a little bit. And so everybody in England doesn't necessarily sing it anymore. But there are different political reasons for that. But the American anthem, I
love it. It is a banger.
It is it's a spine tingling.
It's up there with the Germans.
Lyrics,
it's up with the Germans and the Italians.
It is a bop, as they say.
And to be honest, Charles, you got a really good rendition for your first time hearing it, because I absolutely thought she was superb.
Not a Fergie at the All-Star game.
We had Jimmy Buffett at the NFC Championship game. He was good. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Yeah. So again, it's like we're sort of going through the emotions of what you're going through. So the first half was offensively, we were okay. I thought we were really okay.
I thought Carr looked
not magical. Defensively, we were like, oh my God, what's going on? Second half, obviously, defense tightened up beyond belief. Offensively, we still weren't that great, but we got the win.
Taysom's
offense.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it is now, isn't it? It's like, you know, and I think that's been highlighted this week by the amount of national media interviews he's done, because he did it today, didn't he? And he was on the Good Morning Football, and so I think, again, I think there's a little bit more recognition for that man, and the fact that the previous guys who've done the 10-10-10 are all in the Hall of Fame. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he should be in the Hall of Fame. But then, on the other hand, he should be in the Hall of Fame because those other guys that have done it are all in the bloody Hall of Fame. So,
there's an argument to say that being in the Hall of Fame isn't just about longevity and putting up numbers. It's about being exceptional when you play.
Yeah,
you know, people talk
unique
about,
as well.
Yeah, people talk about, you know, should Andrew Luck be in the Hall of Fame? Well, his numbers say no in terms of overall numbers, but then people say, well, if you look at him averaged out across the seasons he played, then he is a Hall of Fame player. It's like, well, Taysom Hill is a phenomenal footballer, and please show me another player who has done what he's done in the last 50 years, because you can't.
Yeah,
because he's a pure athlete and a pure footballer.
But I'm only, like, my comment there is only based on the fact that what's gone before has gone in. I'm not, you know, I'm not putting him forward for the Hall of Fame.
I am. I am.
Oh, no, hey, look,
I am.
And
me and Eric are going to be there. Like,
I'm not arguing against it either. I'm just saying that you know, if there is a barometer, he's hit that barometer, and so therefore you need to have the conversation with him. But yeah, I think it was again, we're talking about, you know, Ryan. I think on the SBP, he was just saying he's one of his favourite Saints players ever.
He's one of my favourite Saints players.
Right. Ryan has been following the Saints for more years than I can even imagine. And he is turning around saying that it's one of his favourite Saints players ever.
Signed Taysom helmet over there.
Totally agree. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And he's and to experience him, there's greatness in the idea of Taysom Hill alone, let alone the player, let alone what he can physically do on a football field, and to experience that live as well. I think out of all the players I watched, being able to, because he probably had the best. He was probably player of the match outside of Adebo. But to watch what Taysom was able to do and feel that change of pace, not just see the change of pace, but you feel it. You feel it around the dome. Taysom comes in, everyone gets up, everyone's anticipation, something could happen. And it's like, I think we all look for ways to intensify sport and improve sport, and it's things we can do ourselves. I think a lot of people, why they drink, why they eat good food, that it makes the experience better. But there's certain things that the individual sports can do to intensify it. And a player like Taysom coming into a game, nothing intensifies the experience more like that.
100%. Interesting. 100%.
Interesting. Tim Tebow could have been Taysom Hill and more, but he refused to, because he was a starting QB at Florida Gators that won national championships, and he's like, I'm a quarterback, that's it. Taysom Hill was like, do you know what? I know my limitations. I'm just going to be the best player I can be for this team where they want me.
But Dan, I don't know
as well.
I don't know what podcast it was, but like, I think this is our 18th, I believe. But I think it was very early on. We were having I can't remember who we were having the conversation with. We were talking about Taysom Hill, and we were saying about the fact that he got the opportunity to be an out-and-out QB, and it didn't work out for him. But then, having said that, even now, if I think about it, Taysom Hill as a QB would start for at least 5 or 6 teams in the NFL at the moment as a QB. It didn't happen for him with our club. But the great thing about it is, and yet again, like if you watch the Kay Adams interview, I think he's still hot, you know, sort of harkers after the I am a QB, so I'd like to be a QB. But I actually think he's accepted the fact that he's now a dominant football player. And forget about anything, a dominant football player. You put him, I mean, the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks of but the last 4 or 5 weeks of Taysom Hill is remarkable, because Dan, you said it, and you said it for a couple of weeks. It's a Taysom Hill offense, and that's
He's
what it is.
32. He's
Yeah,
32.
He's the most dependable
And he's
player on this
playing
team
like-
on the offense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You put it on his shoulders, and you know he's going to do it.
Yeah.
You can just rely on him. And even like those, when people talk about, I've got worries about his ball protection. No one's talking about that anymore, because when he does have the ball in his hands, if you're listening, Mike has covered himself in a white sheet. No, it's a white shirt. Sorry, white shirt. Taysom Hill on it.
Hey, I think you find it's a colour rush, Taysom Hill.
Colour rush.
Colour rush, baby. So I'm not lying.
Bear with me. If you want to have
Chef's
it off
kiss.
on it.
My admiration for Taysom is here. Anyway,
Chef's kiss. Nothing better.
By the way, Charlie, Dan's probably popped out of you because he's gone for a piss.
Yes.
So look, so we get towards obviously we've talked about the game and when you okay. Dan's trumping me, by the way. Charlie, can you see what Dan's got?
I can see what Dan's got indeed. That
Signed
is
Taysom Hill helmet. Yeah.
Fucking
And wait.
Well tiny.
In case Eric, who that homo is only listening, when I say Dan's got a signed Taysom Hill helmet, I mean the one that he has on the field. All right.
I've been watching Generation V, and just if anyone's watched Generation V, they know what I'm talking about.
Anyway, we're clearing that up. But anyway, so we get at the end of it, we get the victory, Charlie. So you must have been you're 1-1 now, mate. You got the victory.
100%.
Yeah.
And the costume works. That was a week.
Yeah, exactly. So they need to give you a season ticket and also flights every other week.
Joey and Charlie.
Joey and Charlie. Yeah.
Analytics is part of the game for a reason.
Yeah,
exactly. Not just on the pitch.
Yeah.
That's what do they call it? A crowd influence play or something?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you get the victory comes. How are you feeling
able
after
to,
that, mate?
Ultimately, probably a bit relieved because there were times watching where I was thinking, Christ, we're not going to. And I did look bigger picture, thinking like that's a good win for us to win the division. I saw up on the scoreboard, Bucks lost, and obviously 4 greatest words in sports: Saints win, Falcons lose.
Yes,
and that was, that like brought it back to, like you're here as this like journey as well, but you're also here because you're a humongous Saints fan and you want to see the Saints win every game. You want to see them win the playoffs this year. You want to see them let's get I'll take getting in the playoffs. Maybe take up one playoff win. We won't go any further than that.
I know, Charlie. We're on the bus, son.
We're on the bus.
Let's go. All right, okay, right.
I'm on a 1970s bus with the guy the conductor who used to give you a ticket from the thing. You got guys won't know that. I do.
I'll have a season pass then.
Even though I left the Discord for 3 weeks because I had a meltdown, I was still hanging on the back of the bus, and I'm still here. I'm not going. I'm still on the bus. I'm up front with Di driving.
My Celtic brother.
Exactly. But a win is a win, and for you to be 1-1 in the Dome is fantastic for you. I would have taken a 2-0. I would have taken a 2-0 if you'd offered me a 2-0, and I was only fine, sign me up. Let's just get make sure we get the win, because I wanted to walk out with that experience and not having everyone walking out heads bowed, shoulders slouched, of walking out and the possibilities, because that's one of the best things about sport is the possibilities of sport.
Yeah.
It's never
optimism, isn't it? Optimism.
Yeah,
and what could happen.
And it's never heightened more following the aftermath of a win. When you're walking, you've got that spring in your step. You're thinking, absolutely no reason at all. We're going to bounce back. We're going to even do it better next week, sort of thing. And you're living in that. And you're living with the world's biggest pair of rosy tinted glasses on.
Yeah.
But that's the best thing about being a sports fan. It's fun being ignorant. It's fun being an idiot. It's fun getting your hopes up to ultimately have them knocked down. But who cares? You're in the moment.
Exactly. And the worst thing is, sorry, I was going to say the worst thing in the world is if you can't enjoy a win, then you might as well fuck off from the face of the earth.
What's the point? What's the
fucking point of you going to a game if you don't enjoy a win? Like that was one of the things for me. Like coming out, me and Mike talked about it. We said we should have probably put more points on the board. We should have taken the opportunities that they gave us, the defense gave us. but we walked out buzzing because we had a win.
Yeah.
There was some like, and it almost, I found it strange the next day when I was reading like negative stories because I didn't remember them because I was just remembering the positives because I enjoyed the game and I wanted to enjoy a win. And you go, oh yeah, that's fair enough, that's a fair point. But some of the people online, Twitter, in the Saints Block Party Discord, just fucking jump on with the negativity like within 20 minutes. Like, fuck off, I want to enjoy it. I just want to enjoy my team winning. You go game to game, and that's what sport's about. If you look at
but then I think, Dan, you were talking about with Di. It's this thing about the fact that there is no sort of relegation in American sport actually influences the way that American sports fans watch games, I think. Because there is no, I mean, real peril is if you're going to be relegated into a lower league and you're going to lose finance and people are going to lose their jobs and you may never come back to where you were. So
you come and talk to me, right, as a Tottenham fan, watching Derek Carr play for the Saints the other season. Come and talk to me about the season I had to watch us sign Jurgen fucking Klinsmann at the end of his career on a 3-month loan and for him to score a hat-trick on the last game of the season to stop us getting relegated to the league below. It's a team that had not been in the league below since 1978.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck off, man.
Like me, myself, like growing up, my probably first biggest team outside the Scottish rugby team was Rangers in Glasgow Rangers, as they're otherwise known. And so I was a massive fan of them as a wee boy and thought they were the absolute best. And then obviously around about the time when I was kind of 14, 15, I started to hear rumblings that they're in this dire financial strait. And then all of a sudden they get placed in administration and then about 2 weeks later they're liquidated.
Yeah.
And the whole future of the club was in balance. They end up managing, for those who don't know, to stay alive in a kind of roundabout sense, then get relegated right down to the lowest league. So going from being the best team in Scotland, the team that's won the most titles in Scotland, to the team literally at the bottom of the football pyramid, literally as low as they could get, just like that.
Yeah.
And actually, it probably turned me off being a fan of them, just the way they've been managed. And so that you can have, there is a real possibility. And obviously in America, you do get it with teams relocating, but that's different. That's because you as a team have not been doing your, even to an extent, you as your fans maybe not be doing your job by showing up and etc.
Either that, or let's be honest,
just got
you've got an arsehole owner, and that is part of it as well. But the peril of not having almost like players, staff, their livelihoods on the line without relegation. I think it means that there is no peril. So you can have a really shit season. You can have a halfway decent season and still moan your tits off. Whereas when you're in a sport where there's relegation, if you have a halfway decent season, you're still probably only on the you're just above the relegation zone, and you can fall into it very quickly, and then suddenly people's lives, your club can change. Your club can go out of business.
And
so I think that there is that we sometimes, and that's, don't get me wrong, that's not American fans' fault because they don't have that peril. But I think it colours the way that certain British fans look at the NFL.
Probably why we're more optimistic about
balance. We're balanced.
Yeah.
We're more balanced about it.
The worst case scenario for us is look what happened to Leeds. They were down, relegated for 20 years. They even went to the league below. The worst case scenario in the NFL is potentially Trevor Lawrence. Is potentially, Caleb Williams down the line.
Or Joe Burrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is exactly so you have that thing.
And then you shit for another year and you get Jamar Chase. Oh, fucking hell, what a shame.
And then
this is terrible. For the next 5-6 years, you're a consistent...
You're set.
Super Bowl contender. And you can't get that. You can't, even if you look at the Premiership in soccer, you can't do it. I mean, Leicester all those years ago was just out. That will never ever happen again. So and that's why I love the NFL, because I mean, obviously we can talk about the structure of the cap and all this and that or whatever, but if there's a team that hits rock bottom 2 or 3 years later with the right GM and the right coach, you can be on the cusp of a Super Bowl.
Exactly. Look at the Jags.
If you get relegated in the English Premiership, you'll be fortunate to come back into the Premier League. There ain't no way you're winning anything ever, not even in the next 10, 15 years, ever. So yeah, it's perspective, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, we've had that little discussion about it. Now we've got to move on. You had a wonderful time at the Dome. We won. You had those honeys on your left. You had the other people on your right. You were putting your oil on so that your muscles were fine. So now, anyway, we talk about the whole experience that you had in the city. So you arrived on Friday.
Friday night, yes.
So you arrive at the airport. So even like for me, the greatest thing when I go to New Orleans is when I get to the airport. That's when I know I'm there. And that's from somebody who's been there a few times. So that's because I know I'm sort of there.
20 minutes.
You step off the flight, Charlie. So
yeah,
what happened?
So for me, that moment didn't quite come until baggage claim, because as my luck would have it, my bag, of course, was the last bag out. And it was a good minute behind the last bag as well. So I'm starting to get a bit panicked. And me, having never flown before, was thinking that like losing baggage is still like a common thing or something like that. But the second it came, but the welcome, because I was expecting the border force, obviously having come from London border force, which is strict and very, couldn't crack a smile even if they won the lottery sort of level surliness. But to be met by this like just absolutely lovely woman who just said, "Oh yeah, come forward. I'm not going to do any impressions." And then just to ask her, like,
Charlie, do an impression. Do your impression.
Oh, come on forward.
Come on forward, sugar.
Come on forward, sugar. It was all sugar. It was all sugar. Yeah, it was all sugar.
Yeah. Sorry.
Best feeling in the world when someone in the South calls you baby or sugar.
Oh,
you just feel like
it was. And so, but just to get that welcome, and then the second then she said, just welcome to the United States, just total hair standing up, back of my neck.
Yeah.
And that's almost something I didn't quite appreciate with it, because I was always thinking about going to New Orleans. Yeah. I forgot to mention, I think that I'm still going to America. Obviously, New Orleans stands out in America, but you're still in America.
Yeah.
And you're still in this absolute cultural titan of the world.
Yeah.
And they've given us, they've given us a lot of good, some bad as well, obviously. But they've still, it is this destination, it is this place you want to see, and it is this place you want to compare to your own homeland, especially with us having a lot of layovers.
Yeah.
But then that just struck me, and just the fact I was there, and then getting in the Uber, and everything just from that moment just went into overdrive. So meeting the Uber driver, he was called Big Willie. Massive Saints fan.
Yes.
He loved the ladies. He loved the ladies. He was telling me all about where the ladies were. He loved the ladies. all he talked about.
You know, when you get an Uber and his name's Big Willie, and it tells you that you've arrived, because that is quintessentially New Orleans. And Steve and Mike will see you on their ride home.
Yeah, and it was. And then the feeling of just seeing the dome come into shot, when you're just past it, and just it's like it's been inflated. That's honestly the best way. It looks like it's been. It looks like
was it when you were on the ride? It just sort of veered up on you, or were you?
It just kind of happened. I was too busy. I was too busy laughing at all Big Willie's jokes.
Big Willie's jokes. But Charlie, I think we've spoken again on the pod. It's like, I don't think people can understand. Like, it doesn't matter how many times you go there. Every single time I go there and I'm in the Uber or the taxi going to the city, I try and get a picture of it. I try and get a picture of it, because it's in a weird way, and it sounds really daft. It almost is like the highlight of my visit is seeing the dome on my way from the airport, because it fills me with something that I simply can't express. I just can't express. It's just unreal, and I'm so glad you had that, mate. Yeah,
because this
flight was. Sorry, go on, Charles. Go on.
Oh no, on you go, Dan.
I was just gonna say that this was the first time I'd come in at night. And flight routes are different depending on where you come from. and I came in. I just banked around the city over Pontchartrain, and there was the dome, and he was just looking at me, and I had a window seat, and I was just got my phone, and I literally, because obviously Delta have the complimentary Wi-Fi. I was on the air. I was like, I'm home. And just put it on my Instagram. I was like, do you know what it means to miss New Orleans? This is it.
And it's and I think when I saw the dome for the first time, it all just kind of made sense why I was there. It all just that what goes on in that place has, like, it's ultimately, it's just a game. In the end of the day, it's just a game. But this game has just brought me to this place where, like, I knew there and then that I was going to enjoy it. Didn't probably know the extent that I would enjoy it, but I knew there and then I was going to have a good time. And just how the two just connected, how the Saints and the city and me connected there in that moment.
Look at that! We're gonna have to cut that, baby. We're gonna have to cut it. Charlie, come on, my man.
I didn't even feed him that line either.
No. But Charlie, you sort of say it, like, and obviously we're joking about it, but it's actually so bloody real, isn't it?
That was all that was going through my mind. It was just that this team, this place, myself, just, it all makes so much sense, and it all just like, it's been this 12-year journey, and it's been all for this moment. It's been for this reason. It's to feel this way about a place where I've never, I think I walked maybe 100 steps on the ground.
Yeah.
And I was already feeling like this is where I'm meant to be. This is my place.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So you get to your hotel, or where you're staying. Obviously, the one thing I would say about Charlie, like, in the interactions that I had in the city with him, he was always fucking eating. Always eating.
Got to.
Always. But Dad, always.
Are you saying he's like Brad Pitt in Ocean's 11? Like, every scene, how you doing? Right?
So anyway, Charlie, you hit the city, you go to your hotel, apartment, whatever it is. So what do you do then?
So I'd been on the move at that stage for quite a while. So I just got kind of in the room, just kind of sat on the bed. I actually was interested just to see these little snippets of American culture. So I wanted to go and just see what the television was like on Friday night. I wanted to see what Fox, CBS, NBC were all showing, which was a shock to the system. Obviously, the day after, when they were all just blanket college football all day.
Yeah.
Which is, so then just lay in the bed and just kind of took it all in a bit. Just kind of thought about what was going to happen that night, thought about the possibilities, and just realized the possibilities, they're endless. Anything could happen here.
Sorry, Charlie, just on that one for our American viewers, your journey was, so you flew from where to where to where to where? So I'm just giving them an idea of how long your journey was.
So left my farm here at 6 o'clock in the morning, got to Edinburgh at 7 o'clock for 9 or 10 past, like just after 9 sort of flight. So it's about an hour
for Americans, an eternal
flight. So just a little domestic, hour long. Easy as you go. Like, it's one of the few routes I've flown actually quite a few times. But then had a 2-hour wait in Heathrow, which was quite nice because I've got my Apple Watch wearer, so I like to close my move streak every day. So it's actually nice being able to go and.
We'll touch on that later as well.
So it's nice. So just went and wandered around for a bit. But then already, by the time I boarded my flight, had already been on. I think it was about 1:30 flight. I'd already been on the go for about 7.5 hours at that stage, and getting myself ready for a 10-hour, 50-minute flight.
Yeah. You went. Did you go direct?
Yeah, direct. So So for the route actually is, for those listening who don't know, is you go basically touch the bottom of Greenland and then you come right down the eastern seaboard. So you go like what looks like absolutely miles. It does put it into perspective how far you're going. You're not just hopping straight across an ocean.
Nope.
But obviously, me being slightly a naive flyer, having not done it much before, I looked up on the BA website and they said, "Oh yeah, we've got Wi-Fi, blah blah blah." I didn't go and check Reddit saying like how often do BA actually have Wi-Fi, and of course wasn't working at all. So I'm thinking, well, right, not the end of the world, but they've got the in-seat entertainment thing. Go to plug my headphones in, put it in, stick on like a Jennifer Lawrence movie or something like that, and
No, I
no
watched
sound. Yeah, it was actually. I actually watched it when I got back because I wanted to go and see it. So
Was it Red Sparrow?
No, it was
it
called
was,
No Hard
No
Feelings.
Hard Feelings. She
You
Yeah.
know why I said Red Sparrow,
Gets
though.
her boobs out.
Yeah,
No,
Red
gets
Sparrow.
her boobs
Anyway.
out.
Anyway, moving on.
And of course, the headphone jack wasn't working, and it was a fully booked flight. And me, being a child of the 90s, didn't have a book to read with me. So I just sat in pretty much silence for a good 10 hours.
Charlie, can I? Because I think yet again, touching on this, were you in the back end of the plane?
Yeah, towards the kind of back, yeah.
So we had this with the other guys, like who came over, because they must use obviously the same airplane going back and forth. Alex, Dan, both were sitting in the back of the plane, and Aaron didn't have any sort of entertainment for the whole flight. And the fact that BA haven't fucking sorted that out is a disgrace.
Shocking.
Absolutely, because you're obviously on two different flights. There's 24 hours between the flights, and that's not working. That's absolutely a shit show beyond belief.
Terrible, shocking.
That you can allow someone to fly for 10 hours and do that without even just being able to watch Jennifer Lawrence get her pegs out.
Exactly.
I'm clipping this. It's getting
and genuinely, the granddaddy of the airliners.
Disgrace. Yeah, it's a disgrace. Because that, again, it happened. It happened on two flights or over 2 days, and they hadn't sorted it out. Because we know the guys had the same problem coming over. But anyway, sorry, Charlie.
Biggest problem I had to give me the prosecco I wanted.
Oh yeah, carry on, Charlie. Let's move on. We don't need to listen to this. C-U-N-T.
Oh!
I didn't say the word. I just emphasised the letters. Charlie,
but if anything,
what's the thing you ate when you got to the city? Come on.
But if anything, the hardline flight just made me way more excited to actually get out and just get amongst it all.
Yeah.
And just literally be in the hotel room, literally just to kind of rest your legs a bit, just kind of stretch out. I've got a bad knee. So I just got to just, get that right for a night out and have a shower and just go. And so I left, and I kind of was seeing on the Discord and the Brits Are Coming group chat that people were kind of dotted around here, there, and everywhere. But I just walked down Canal, and I just wanted to soak it all in. I wasn't in any rush to get anywhere. So I didn't think that'd be very New Orleans just to go and rush anywhere. It'd be
you're enjoying it at your own pace, which you should do.
Yeah.
And so
what Aaron did. Aaron did the same, I think.
And so I just, like I said, I just kind of followed my nose and just like, I thought, oh, that looks interesting down there. I'll walk down that way. Oh, that looks like a nice pub. Might circle back, that sort of thing. And it ended up actually settling on. That's the one thing I regret from it. I didn't actually learn many of the place names where I was. I was just too busy, just like head in, let's go,
enjoying yourself. Yeah.
And so just sat down. First drink order was a Hurricane. Just heard so much about them, and then got myself a nice American light beer, and just sat down. And a guy came up and started speaking to me and found out where I was from and blah blah blah. And it was just proper New Orleans local. Lived in French Quarter local as well. And just to have that meeting, I heard you people were nice, but I didn't think you were that nice, and you could just spark conversations up with these people. And I really took that in my stride. Basically, what he kind of did to me, I was just like, right, I'm going to act like a local here. I'm going to just go and speak to everyone, and just chat. There's nothing better than just chit chatting and just chewing the fat, as us Scots say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, was there for a good half an hour. Just I think there was a basketball game on, so it was just kind of embracing the American culture.
But also, Charlie, it's a little bit when you've had a journey like that. I think there is a moment where you have to sort of decompress. It's like even before you meet the big crowd, it's just like, right, I need to sort of make sure that I'm okay with myself, and I feel, and it is about decompression. It's like, and now I'm ready to go, sort of thing. Yeah.
And so, and then after that, I saw, just sitting there, and I saw someone post, I think it was on the Discord, that they were heading to Willie's on Canal. So I think it was Alex,
Yeah.
Adam,
Sure.
Joey,
Yeah.
and a few others. Yeah, not my taxi driver's place.
We're not heading to Big Willie's house. No.
Do you know Big Willis might have been going down?
Yeah.
Exactly. I wouldn't be. I'd like to have seen it. But then just like they were all sat down and just kind of stood, and Adam was like facing the back wall, and obviously like I've had a lot of interactions with Adam over the year. Did the logo for them.
Can I also actually that's a really good time to interject, because myself and Dan need to thank you very much. Adam and Ryan need to thank you very much. Elio and John need to thank you very much, because for anybody who doesn't know, Charlie has done all of our logos for our podcast. So I'm just going to, on a pod, and if they're listening on a pod, I'm just going to stand up. I'm just going to give you a little bit of applause, mate, because we thank you and we appreciate you very much. And I know both Adam and Ryan are doing. I know, obviously, when we were over there, Adam and Ryan showed you their appreciation. I know Elio and John really appreciate the work you've done. But yeah, it's incredible, because obviously we spoke earlier about the fact that you're the Photoshop king of the Saints, and you get a lot of traction for your Photoshops because they're absolutely fucking brilliant. But also, like, we reached out to you and you did a wonderful job for us, and we're so appreciative of it. And I know the guys have also reached out to you, and so it's like a little bit of a second career that you've got, as well as the farming that you do anyway. So I just wanted to interject and just thank you for that, my friend.
It's something that I absolutely love doing them. I get such a kick out of doing them, especially. I mean, I love doing the wallpapers and I love doing the Photoshops, especially the logos, because knowing that actually was going to something that had a purpose behind it. And I view it all as art. I'm doing art when I'm doing them. I'm not thinking about doing a logo or doing a wallpaper. I think I'm doing a bit of Saints art that you can have on your phone, sort of thing. And then when you can, but it's only art because it's something centered around something that I care so much about.
Yeah.
And I think it will now go on to another level, because I now don't just care about that one Saints thing. I now care about the Saints in the middle of the whole thing. And it's actually, I've got quite a nice story about this, that I was, so I started off doing the wallpapers because here in Scotland and the UK, as you guys know, there's very, very little Saints merch about.
No.
And very, very little of the kind of retro-y stuff, this like the kind of slightly more kind of out there
cultural
style.
Yeah.
And so I actually started off by just finding pictures online just of Saints, and I think I settled on that one picture of the Dallas game in 2019 where all the DBs are lurched over, whoever it was, Amari Cooper or whoever. Yeah. And so was planning on actually putting on a t-shirt. That never materialized. And I remember just being hungover one day and just started putting them on wallpapers. And it started off very basic, like it was just one picture with a kind of artistic effect on it, put on a gold background, bang, tweet out sort of thing. But then I downloaded another app and they started getting a bit more kind of what they're like today, with the kind of collages and the different colors and stuff like that. And it was actually this summer, I just finished up, I think it was a Latimore one or something like that. And I look up on my walls because my auntie and my uncle, who are sadly no longer with us now, but they've been away for a while, we're both artists.
Yeah.
And totally without knowing it, I just looked at my phone, looked up at the wall, looked at my phone, looked at the wall, and realised how influenced the style of wallpapers that I do have been by their art.
Oh,
and
really?
it was almost as if that if they were to make a Saints wallpaper, that's how they would have made it. And I've just done it like that, totally not thinking, just that's the way my body's just worked. And that's just nice to be able to tie that, because my auntie especially, she would, of all my family members, she'd have been the one that was by far the keenest on me going to New Orleans. I'm pretty sure she went to New Orleans a couple of times as well. She was a kind of borderline hippie, but like in the best possible way, total free spirit, like someone that would have just like been made for New Orleans.
Yeah.
And
so she would love you. She would love you going over there. So it was like, I mean, the thing, it's like, that's Charlie, nice. The first time I ever remember you on Twitter was your wallpapers. And I've got I've sort of like on the iPhone, you can change all your settings so they're all black and gold. Everything on my iPhone, you take sort of photo things and everything on my iPhone is black and gold. And you got this reoccurring picture scene at the top of my iPhone, and every single one of them is your wallpapers. Yeah, your DeMario, your Marshawn, or everything. They're all the reoccurring. And that's the first time I saw you on Twitter, and I was like, I like this guy. And then obviously knowing you in Scotland, followed you and all that sort of thing. And the journey for you has been absolutely incredible. I mean, God, you're so popular over there, which is wonderful. I was going
to say, I'm pretty sure you are the most followed UK-based Saints fan on Twitter by a long way.
I would have thought so. I would have thought so.
Yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt, yeah.
So props to you, Charlie. Hey, let's raise a glass to Charlie. Charlie.
Cheers, boys. Cheers.
Anyway, I said to Dan earlier, I was gonna use a word which is Excalibur. Dan knows what that means.
He's going for a piss.
So I think I might have to join you.
All right, Charlie, you do it. I think I can talk to Dan remotely.
What was that?
Dan,
all right. So.
Yeah, but you're a bit quiet. Do you want to regale people with tales of as an interlude on this podcast?
Tell everybody how sick you were on the day of the Saints game.
Okay, yeah. So as an interlude, whilst these two empty their bladders, so on the Saturday night we had the Saints Block Party meetup, and it was very merry, had a lot of drinks, had a lot of fun with everyone. A lot of people we care immensely about. And then as we're leaving, me and Mike are walking around slapping up SaintsCityMe stickers all over the place. Apologies to Bayou Beer Garden, who have a nice sticker on their lovely wooden sign outside. But so we get in a cab.
Don't forget the sign they have on their toilet paper.
Yeah, Mike stuck loads of stickers on their toilet paper. So anyway,
that was my favourite bit.
And he tweeted Nick Underhill as well, because
and he
had the virus.
He said LOL.
He did. There you go.
Yeah. Anyway.
So we end up going back to the room. I chuck on one of Mike's hats. We end up on Bourbon Street. Alex buys us all 2 Hurricanes each. We're already pretty hammered. I say I've got to go back to the room, go to bed, and then I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, throw my guts up, go back to bed, get up again, throw my guts up, go back to bed, get dressed, have a shower, get dressed, throw my guts up again. Mike goes to the Allen's tailgate. I go out, go to leave the hotel, got a Gatorade in hand, get 30 yards down the street on O'Keefe, and I'm like, nope. Run back to the hotel toilet, throw my guts up violently again, proceed to almost cry in the toilets because I think I'm going to miss the game, get my shit together, and go to the tailgate where I meet everyone, where I'm an absolute mess. We meet Jason from the Dome Patrol podcast. We hand over his scampy fries. He looks at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I thought you were British. You look like you cut shandies. But I sorted myself out in the end. But my biggest regret from that tailgate was I was so hammered. Stan Verrett was there, and I didn't get a chance to speak to him because I would have loved to have had given him our podcast stickers and said, love to have a chat with you on the pod, because he would be a great guest. But yeah, I was in a bad way Saturday, and it's not my fault. It's Alex's fault.
No, wait. There is an argument, but I'm not getting
predominantly Alex's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a that Saturday night was great. I was sensible to walk back and buy a couple of bottles of water on my way home, so I knew that I was in for a rough ride. And when I woke up, I drank all my hydration tablets, I had my vitamin tablets, I had my oxygen drops to get myself together. I ate half a Hoogby's pie to try and get my stomach lined. Nothing. I couldn't keep anything down. Absolute carnage.
No.
Carnage.
It wasn't until I'd say
second quarter of the game.
No. I'd say no. Actually, I'm talking about it wasn't until about 6 p.m. on Sunday where you felt a little bit human, because I think that's roughly when you had your first drink.
It was my first beer, and I was like, "Yeah, give me a Bud Light because I'm a pussy." Give me a Bud Light. But that was a lovely place. We was meant to meet Jessica, who been on the pod before.
But we were We were
late.
very late, weren't we? Very late. So yeah.
So
But then Jess
yeah,
offered to come back and meet us,
Yeah.
but we were already in a taxi going for something to eat, weren't we? But anyway,
Yeah.
so Charlie,
Anyway,
you arrive at your hotel, you decompress, you have a couple of drinks, you meet the guys in the chicken shop. What happens to you after that? So where do you end up?
Even just the meeting the guys, even just like I've like kind of snuck up behind them almost and just yelled, no music, no intro. And just the embrace to get from them all. And especially Adam, obviously kind of built the whole thing with Ryan. And just to feel that love and just feel that energy of that. And bear in mind, that was the first time there and then I met another Saints fan. Apart from one other, which was ironically, it was actually I was meant to have tickets to the game. I had actually tickets to the game where Drew broke the touchdown record against the Colts.
Oh wow!
But a few weeks before, well, in the kind of months prior, I was doing various incidents to damage my knee, and then ended up a few weeks before falling off a bike at 3 a.m. in Edinburgh, and my knee was locked straight for weeks on end until I got it.
Charlie, sorry yet again. Anybody who follows Charlie will have seen the cricket ball injuries.
Not just one cricket ball, two.
No, I said injuries. So it was plural. Charlie might be getting a picture now. By the way,
He looked like Squidward.
I'm still getting my back-to-back bowler of the year though. Back-to-back bowler of the year. Got it below.
So the only reason I mention that is because obviously Charlie is a very athletic young man who participates in sport, but obviously gets very injured in sport. I think it's probably fair to say, isn't it? Yeah.
Extensively.
Yeah. So anyway, so you turn up, you give Adam a hug and all that sort of good stuff.
Yeah. So like the second Saints fan I met, because the first one I met was actually when I was in hospital after sustaining the injury that made me miss the game. Was a guy
is that why you missed the game?
Yes, that's why I couldn't go because
I
had to cancel the whole trip.
What was the extent of your injury that you got?
So ACL torn, MCL torn, both cartilage torn, to the point where I've only kind of got half a cartilage now. The ligaments have been totally fixed. And then, but I was only in hospital because when the surgeon was, this is a wee bit maybe gory, but when the surgeon was closing me up, he managed to splice a load of my blood vessels. So unbeknownst to me, for the first week, my leg was just filling up a little bit like a balloon. And so I had ended up getting a bit of a minor infection, but it was fine, nothing bad. I just got hooked up for a few days.
Dan, can we cut that bit?
Yeah.
I'm going to call him Teddy B / Alex Smith.
Yeah.
But then ended up back in hospital because of it, and then had this guy on another ward who just happened to be from Kentucky. So I asked him, are you what do I know? What do you think about Coach Cal and the Wildcats, or whatever they're called? Then he said, I kind of like college basketball and that, but my real love's this team from New Orleans called the Saints. And I just
oh, wow. Really?
That's not bad. That's not a bad accent either.
The wee mean machine behind me went from beep, beep, beep to beep, 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 beep. But that was it. It was only like a couple of, he was well across the room, so we could hardly even chat to each other. So it was literally just a kind of like who dat head nod. But then just to feel the love back to meeting Adam and the guys and Wellies, and just to immediately then just go and sit down with them and just feel like I'd known them for 5 years. Yeah. And just to know that like to kind of know, because it's a certain type of person generally in the Discord, like a certain type of kind of. There are some similarities between political philosophies and what have you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But even still, it's still from way different walks of life. But the way we just all settled down together and we're able just to just chat about anything and just chat about life just like that, and relationships, likes, dislikes, all that sort of thing.
It's incredible.
It just made it feel so natural and so correct.
Yeah. It's genuinely, I find it incredible, and shout out to Saint Block Party, the fact that they built a community like that, They really have, whereby you can turn up. And I genuinely haven't, I've been to, and both me and Dan, I think, have been to 2 of their sort of functions now. And I've never gone there. And that sort of thing where you sit down, you look over and there's somebody where you think, oh, I don't think so. I've never gone to one of them and thought that, which is
people don't come to them.
Yeah, maybe they don't, but the people that are there, I've never ever gone to one of them and thought, oh God, I really don't want to be in the company of that individual.
Do you know what the thing as well with
with
like obviously Ryan and Adam started it and got it going, but
there
is an acknowledgement to people like Joey and Elise and G who were there at the start, who have helped build that community as well. Because if you don't have, if you have arseholes, if Adam and Ryan were unlucky enough to have arseholes in there at the start, this would never have grown. No. It is those absolute quality people like Eric and Dash and Sherman, all. I don't want to leave anyone off.
Yeah, all those
Miguel,
guys.
Everyone, they're just so welcoming. Like Joey drove 2.5 hours to come, 3 hours he traveled to come and see me in New York, and we watched a Saints game in a bar, and then he went home. That's the kind of people that are in that Discord. They are. Sherm drove. I did that drive from Santa Monica to San Diego, where Sherm lives. It's a long fucking drive in traffic. He did it to come and see us all for a couple of hours, then went home. Just it's a different. That community is different. It's built different.
It is. And also it's like you get onto that, and it's like obviously we're talking with Charlie about meeting people in the chicken shop, and then realizing you go from the chicken shop to where.
To Cat's Me Out, to where
this is where I come into. This is where we come into the story.
This is the funny bit, because me and Dan walk into, because me and Dan on that Friday night have been out. We've been out for
Ross Jackson
Friday night. Ross Jackson.
We went out for dinner with Ross Jackson,
his lovely girlfriend, and then we bumped into to Matt and Alex, and then we went up to a bar. And then we come down, and I remember walking in to the Cat's Meow, and the first moment I walked in, I saw a basketball vest that had something written on it. What was written on your basketball vest, Charlie? Remember?
It was, of course, the Apple Watch Bandit.
Now, I'm not sure. I know the people in the Discord know what that means. I don't know if you want to put it out there, what that actually
I'm happy.
Really
I'm more than happy.
All right, so we're now going to remove ourselves from New Orleans, and we're going to go back a little bit. So, Charlie, tell us about the Apple Watch Bandit. So what happened that night?
So I was, again, another sporting trip, but this time not nearly as far. It was just across to Dublin, which is about, we drove there on the ferry, but it's like a 5-hour drive sort of thing. So not far away, and very, very similar sort of culture.
For those that don't know, you could have done it in an hour on a plane. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's
boring,
a short trip.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I was there watching my team Glasgow play a final, and the way European sport happens, they pick the destinations for finals well in advance. So it doesn't matter if you've got countries from a team from Scotland, a team from France, they're going to play that match in Ireland. And so went there, and then unfortunately my team lost quite badly. It was very disappointing, but was thinking, fuck it, I'm in Dublin. Do as the Irish do. And so was there with my dad. My dad managed to stick it up to a certain point. Did well, did better than I thought he would do. But was there with another few of my...
Wait, Charlie, I'm quite offended. How old is your dad?
My dad is 65 now.
All right, okay, he's a lot older.
Doesn't look a day over 40 though. Doesn't look a day over 40.
I thought you were giving it to people over 50. So anyway, carry on.
He's and so it was just out drinking with a few. Actually, my brother's pals. Brother ended up not coming, but I get quite well with his pals. And I remember it's just some of them got a taxi back, and there was no taxis anywhere, so we just decided to wander back. And so we're staying inside this old military barracks sort of thing that has been converted into like nice houses and Airbnbs.
Yeah, hotel. Yeah.
So I'd already earlier that day, I'd already been up on the roof of it to pin up a Glasgow flag, which is a great video of me pinning up the flag with the two policemen standing in front of me, them totally unaware. And then, but I noticed this massive police presence going on, blocking the front door in. They're shooing us round the back, sort of thing. Oh no, sorry lads, you got to go around that way. And I'm thinking, just being the kind of young
Charlie.
Yes.
Can you go back to that accent? Do that again.
I could only do Northern Irish accent, so I'm just away you go around the back there, fellas. You'll be grand round there.
Yeah. Are you in Northern Ireland?
It's the only one I can do. It's the only one I can do.
My family's from Dublin, so I'm getting quite offended by that. But anyway, moving on.
I think I can kind of talk a little bit like Bob Geldof, but
that's better. Well done. Yeah,
there we go.
That was better. Anyway, moving on.
And then so I go around the back, but obviously, like I'm a young, very inquisitive, let's be real, nosy bugger.
Yeah.
Who just wants to go and see what's happening, and especially me growing up on a farm, like I don't really see big police incidences very often, and and you're thinking you can get away with it because it's a place like Dublin, and the stereotypes are that they're happy and jolly and sort of thing, and they're not, and importantly, they're not armed.
No.
And so I decided to have a little clamber up onto the rooftops, went back my old route, managed to just go, no bother at all, and then I'm hanging over the edge, and of course I look down and see what appears to be a body. So again, being the inquisitive, I say inquisitive, anyone else says nosy, see you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
I go out to get a picture of said incident. And
God.
in my Guinness weakened state, my hands fail me completely. And the phone totally lose grip. The phone goes plummeting right down. Thank God didn't hit a policeman. But it goes landing down, and then just all in a one, or like a scene from a movie, they all just turn round and look above them with their torches right up to me, just going, I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
So Charlie's Charlie's at a murder scene, and he's dropping his shit all over the murder scene.
So I'm getting the, don't bloody move, fella, stay right there. And then so
I love the Geldof impression.
So there's another way that I could got down the front. So I managed to kind of clamber myself down the front with them all watching me. And they're all
Were there any guns involved? Was anybody?
Thankfully not. No, there was no guns involved. Thankfully not.
Our American cousins won't understand that.
Yes, I'd have been a bit more panicked if they were.
Yeah.
Yes, I could
Truncheons.
I could see a few itchy taser fingers as well.
Yeah.
Give me the full shock. But then I'm just like, as I'm getting close to them, I'm just saying like, sorry. I'm just a drunk rugby fan. I'm just a drunk rugby fan. And then they start giving it, like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Sort of thing. How'd you get there? And I say, I swear to God, I've just got back from like in the city centre. I've only got back 5 minutes ago, and I'm panicking. And I kind of look at my watch, and I see that the activity open outdoor walk is still alive. And so I managed to show them it, swipe across to show them the map that I'd been where I'd said I'd been half an hour ago. So they called. So I got a quick just look up and down, and you just said, away you go, you fucking agent. Just away you
Yeah. Charlie, man, what the fuck? Murder scene.
Apple Watch Bandit.
Indeed.
Apple Watch Bandit. He got himself embroiled, and he got himself out of it by Apple Watch. Hey, look, that should be an advertisement.
Do that.
For anyone who's not a murderer.
What did you get on your shirt, Mike? What did you get on your shirt, Mike? What did you get on your shirt?
What have I got on my shirt?
Your basketball shirt. What did they put on yours?
SBP Papa. Because I'm an old cunt. So I'm literally the Saints block party. I'm the Saints block party dad, I think. So yet again, just emphasizing how old I am, I think. But hey, I embrace it. I embrace it entirely. All right, so Charlie, you get into Cat's Meow. It's manic, isn't it?
And it is just like no place I've ever
been.
But
also, you yet again, I know you went into the chicken shop and everyone embraced you, but fuck me, when you came in there, it was like it was a different world, wasn't it? Yeah.
Feeling that love, and it was honestly, I can only kind of akin to it like seeing your friend that who's moved off to Australia, who you've never seen before. That's the only anything I've had even close to that. Just feeling this mutual love, this just everyone just
people,
ready.
I've literally like there's 20 people in there at the time, and I'm assuming at that point 10 of them you've not even met.
No,
and literally to a person, they're embracing you like you're their long lost brother, aren't they?
And exactly, to then just step in and then just see London unzip his bag and pull out this top and present it to me. It's like, like that was totally unexpected. And when you get those little moments of unexpected, like goodwill and gesture, it just nothing sets your night up like a nice surprise.
No. And it also emphasizes part of the community that you become a part of.
And
that I think that's the biggest underline of the community is that, I mean, God, none of these guys have met you. Me and Dan hadn't even met you, and we live on the same aisle. And when you go over there and you have that immediate sort of interaction, but acceptance and everything that comes with it. And a lot of those guys are not from New Orleans, but they're Saints fans. They embrace everything, I think, that the city sort of means, which is like if
they are typical Americans though, because they did ask me a number of times to translate what Charlie was saying.
I do have a story about that as
well. So Charlie,
loud and noisy. We know.
So
I was saying, Charlie, what's your story? Come on.
The one time it came unstuck was I was in the airport, and so like I said, I'm not a frequent flyer. Easy for me to say, frequent flyer, very much.
Yeah.
And so I was unsure. I didn't realize that the Americans don't have the bag about having your liquids in a plastic bag. They don't have the rule about having the liquids in your plastic.
Yeah, they don't do it, do they?
No,
which is weird. Yeah.
And so that was, and I've only ever been in European airports, and that is like strict as anything, absolutely mandatory. Knackered if you don't do that. And I don't have a plastic bag, and I've got a few aftershaves in my bag, and I'm not wanting to get rid of them. So I'm going up to them, and I see these people just standing before TSA, and I'm going up to them. I'm saying, "Oh, excuse me," I'm trying to speak slowly and enunciate. "Oh, where can I find a little plastic bag to put my liquids in?" And then they just look back at me and say, "You have a bag full of liquids, sir?" And I was like, no. Where can I get a little plastic bag to put my liquids in? You can't bring liquids on the flight, sir. And I'm thinking, no, like the little bag to put my liquids in, they all comply sort of thing. And they're saying, "Sir, you can't take liquids on the flight." And I'm saying, "Where can I find a little plastic bag to put my liquids in?" And they're saying, "Oh, sir, you don't need to bother about having a little plastic bag to put your liquids in."
And I still get that now. When you fly out of
take your fucking shoes off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You having to
when you fly out of Heathrow, you've got the everything's in a plastic bag. If you get a connecting flight, and the first couple of times that I went there, I worried about it like shit. It was like you did, Charlie. I was like, "Oh, have you got a plastic bag?" And they were looking at me like I was asking if they had like cocaine on them. But genuine, and so now it's
again,
like,
Mike,
fuck
drugs again.
Yeah. Hey, look, you mentioned it earlier, but so catch me out. I know you weren't there for very long.
No, it wasn't there huge because I didn't start.
Because obviously you've had the massive journy over, and you were quite tired. So,
but I still felt like I managed in I was there probably for maybe hour and a half, kind of 2 hours. Region.
Oh no, you were there. You were absolutely after that journey. You were there for.
Did you sing? Did you sing with us?
Long enough. No,
I didn't know. I think I must have just gone before then.
Just gone.
Charlie had
gone
gone by then.
Singing.
Yeah,
slapped some speakers up and fucked off.
So you wake up on, and this is the thing that it's like, and I think it's really key because I know there are periods of time where you sort of took yourself off. I think, as you said that you did earlier, on Saturday morning and stuff. So what did you do? You just went out and just found stuff
So,
that you wanted to
yeah,
participate in.
exactly. So
Yeah.
the first place I went, I actually managed to sleep till a decent time. I managed to sleep till about kind of 6, half 6, 7.
Yeah.
Woke up, just kind of found my feet a little bit, left the hotel about 8:30. And I knew exactly first place I was going had to be the Dome. Had to see the Dome in the morning light, seeing the sun come up over it, seeing it shine, just seeing the gold of it. Just I've never seen a building clad in gold like that, let alone a stadium that I care so much about. And then just as she just came into focus, it was like the amount of times on the walk I was stopped in my tracks, just looking at it, just as a piece of architecture.
Yeah.
How beautiful it is, and just how unusual it is, and how unlike anything else I've seen before. Like big stadiums over here, like admittedly, probably the only one I would really like to see in Britain would be Spurs' stadium.
Shh.
I can't believe those words just left my mouth.
Comes up a lot. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
But yeah, we've had that conversation. It's like I'm an Arsenal fan, Dan's a Tottenham fan, but genuinely that stadium is immense.
Yes,
it's
like
immense.
That big one-tiered stand at the back just looks
but the whole thing. I mean, the only way they can better it, and this is not me being an arsehole, is if it was in a different area, because part of the problem there is getting to it is an absolute fucking nightmare. Yeah, if they had that stadium in Wembley, it would be unreal.
Oh, wow.
Because Wembley's got, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, you can get to Wembley. The thing about Tottenham is that like you can get a tube, but then you have to walk for about 40 minutes, or you have to go all the way into Liverpool Street and then get somewhere, and then it's just a bit of a like but location wise it's not great. But the stadium, as an Arsenal fan, I'll admit it, it's the best stadium in the UK by a million miles,
hands
absolutely
down.
Absolutely. And Charles, that's the other thing, myself and Dan have tickets to those games at Tottenham Stadium, so next year you have to come down.
Oh yeah.
And you can stay, not in a horrible way, you can stay with both myself or Dan. We'd be happy.
Oh, well done. No murders around here, mate. No murders around here. I'm only joking. I've got 2 spare bedrooms. You can have one of them, either one.
Oh, beautiful.
Mike normally has one of them, but there's 2.
Yeah. But Charles, definitely
quality,
definitely come. Now that you've broken your virginity,
exactly,
with the Saints in the Dome, it's now come down, because genuinely it's a wonderful, wonderful event. Like, people of every color, sort of team wise, is there, and never a situation, and you just have a really, really, really good time.
Just enjoying sport together.
Exactly, enjoy it. So anyway, you're at Cat's Meow, you leave, you get up on Saturday morning, you walk out, you're up at 6. So what are you doing?
So obviously go straight to the Dome, and just when I see it, it's just lights, just puts such a smile on my face, because seeing it in the dark and then seeing it in the light is just like 2 totally different things. And so I just decided, I just went straight into Champions Square and just went and sat on the ground, back unsupported, just looking up at it, just looking at the Benson statue, just seeing the Super Bowl holding out over me. And it's always a bit, I don't want to say awkward, but just slightly off looking at the Super Bowl for me, because I wasn't a fan back then.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm kind of like taking like false credit sort of thing. But still, it makes me think about that. Like, when I finally do get to see it, whether it's this year or whether it's in 50 years, like, it'll just be the most incredible just outburst of emotion sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then decided to obviously had to walk around the Dome just to get the size of it. Managed to kind of peek in, see a bit, like just see a little snippet of the field here and there, and just was giddy with excitement just seeing that. And then as I'm walking round, I walked past another Saints fan who's walking the other way. He's got a Cam jersey on. I think I had my Drew jersey on. And we just kind of walk past each other, and I just go, all right, to him. And he looks back at me and says, all right. And so he hears my Scottish accent. I hear his Northern Irish accent, and just we turn around at the same time and just like Celt to Celt, and just go over and just chat with each other. And then turns out he was there with his wife. His wife was sitting down on the bed way down there, and he's kind of like, what your plans sort of thing. And I said, oh, no, I'm not really doing anything. So him and his wife asked me out for breakfast with them. And it actually turned out that while I was away, like as we were getting to know each other, that I actually played rugby with his nephew at university.
Oh, wow.
So just as total luck would have it that we already had this. And so we went for breakfast together. Obviously, you go for breakfast on Saturday morning in New Orleans, it's going to turn into a few drinks.
Yeah.
So we just, like, nothing major, but just like enough just to give you that little heightened, just misty eyes,
That little
that
buzz.
alcohol
That little
gives
buzz.
you,
Yeah.
Little edge to
And
start the day.
So we were at breakfast and we left and we just went our separate ways, and I just started just walking. No real plan in mind. Just if I go straight on here, I go left here, I go right here, sort of thing. Nothing, just we'll decide when we get to the junction, sort of thing. And just to start to feel it. Like, 'cause I didn't just get it all in a one. I kind of got it as I was walking through. I started to feel more at home, more part of the city. But I almost think it was better to have it built. It wasn't like it was just this overwhelming rush sort of thing.
Yeah.
It just went, oh, there's so-and-so, there's Lee Circle, I've heard about that. There's obviously, there's the Jackson Square, there's St. Louis Cathedral. There's all these places, just ticking them off in my little head box. Just going,
all those things that when you've been at home, you've looked at and thought, yeah, that one.
Yeah,
I know that
you've
one.
watched
That
how many
one.
times you watch the YouTube channel when you go, where should I go in New Orleans? You watch it and you even though you're not going for like 2 years or whatever, you watch them because I want to know. They're all there in front of you.
Yeah.
And to see them all in the flesh, it was just, especially the absolute beautiful build, especially like St. Louis Cathedral is one of the nicest buildings I've ever seen.
It's immense.
And how it contrasts the blue sky as well. Like, I think it helps New Orleans so much that it's sunny all the time. And it's like, it really is one of these things that photos can't do it justice at all.
No.
And that's actually one of my slight regrets of the whole trip, is that I maybe didn't take that many photographs because I was purely just in the moment. But going back was, you know what, I would rather not have that many photos back because it will force me just to go back and just go and see the sights again.
Yeah.
And it won't be like the first time again, but it'll be pretty close to the first time again.
It's funny.
I've never taken a photo of St. Louis Cathedral that looks as good as it does when you actually just look at it. Like, I've tried like every visit.
I looked at the photos that I did take of it, and I thought, that doesn't do it justice. That doesn't do it justice.
No, but it was like, I was going to say, it was like, normally when we sort of talk about when we're on these podcasts, the first question that we ask is, was it the Saints or the City? And we haven't asked that to you yet, Charles. So what was it? Was it the Saints or the City for you?
I initially the Saints, definitely.
Yeah.
Initially the Saints. It was the draw of Drew Brees, really. I thought it ultimately came down to Drew Brees being a really cool name, and he wore number 9. So I just thought that was, because I was a kind of young teenager at the time when it was kind of when my kind of fandom started.
Yeah.
But I'd say the Saints set it up, but the City completed it.
Yeah.
The Saints, and I always think of that Tennessee Williams quote, as I'm sure everyone knows about San Francisco, LA, New York, and New Orleans. The rest are just Cleveland. And I thank my lucky stars every single day that I did pick a team like the Saints, because I could have easily ended up like a team like the Colts. And the thought of staying up, with all due respect to the Colts and Colts fans, but the thought of staying up all these times for a team that play in a place like Indianapolis just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't give you that extra boost. But doing it for a place like New Orleans, it completes the whole thing. It really sent it from just being a fan of a team to being a crazed supporter, life and blood sort of thing, do or die. And it's intensified by the place that it's in.
Well, I'm gonna quote you back to you, which is the thing that you put on Twitter. I think it was before you left, which I thought was absolutely beautiful. So it was, and in the blink of an eye, it is almost over. New Orleans, you and your people are truly incomparable. and for the right reasons, I came for the city. They came and left with. I came for the city, and I left with the city. They say if you love New Orleans, she'll love you back, and I can finally attest to that. And if I'm honest, myself and Dan, that would be. I couldn't think of a better way to describe the city. And I love that. I genuinely, when you posted that before you went back home, I just absolutely, I was just in love with it because that's exactly the way I think myself and Dan feel about the city. And the fact that you actually put that up sort of meant so much to me as an individual because it's the way I feel about the city. But yeah, you were, but also on that one, I think it was that one that was, you posted that and then Ross Jackson replied, didn't he? Ross Jackson replied and Ross put a heartfelt sort of reaction to that. And then I think you then responded to Ross saying, it'd really be great to meet you. And then Ross got in touch with you, didn't he? And said, look, hey, I'm free and let's meet, which is again.
And I mean, that was maybe my favorite interaction that I had the whole trip, being able to meet him. And like, we could have not discussed this, like we talked a bit about the Saints, and it was unbelievably cool hearing about what guys are like at lunch, what guys are like in interviews. But we could have not mentioned the Saints at all. And it was still been incredible because just what an absolute, like, he comes across that 100% that way in his podcasts.
Yeah.
But I mean, what an absolutely genuine guy. And to see him being happy about me being so happy in his city just made me love the place so much more. And it's this spiraling out of control effect of happiness that New Orleans, like, it is a place that spirals out of control, but it spirals out of control for all the best reasons.
He's just the best guy.
Oh,
Ross is. As I said, we went out for dinner with Ross and his girlfriend. Just a phenomenal evening. Wonderful people. Yeah. We had some very candid conversations. I'm not going to talk about them here. They were private conversations that we had with Ross and Ross's girlfriend. It was beautiful conversations. But like the thing, like we went and met Max and Alex afterwards at the wine bar and was having a chat. And he leant over to me and Mike. He said, "No one's doing what you're doing." He said, "Like, keep doing it. It's good." Like, no, and like, I'm not a person who blows their own trumpet and stuff, but it's like to have someone like Ross say, "You're doing a good job."
Yeah.
When he's so good at his job, you're like, "Fucking hell, that's like praise indeed." And like, I know he said to you, like, he loves like your artwork and stuff like that you do and things. So it's just like, it's great that he genuinely gives it back to the fans of the community, whereas I'm not sure other people do who have that kind of exposure.
Yeah, agreed. No, very well said.
Yeah, and it was great, and it was like, and the main thing I took from that was like it was that sort of thing, interaction on Twitter. But Ross turned around to you and said, "Hey, look, I'm free. I'll meet you."
And just
and it was lovely. Obviously, then Ross got in touch with me, and I brought Steve over, and we had that, we had that moment at the coffee shop. I had to leave, but it was just genuinely the fact that he took the time out of his life to just come and meet a couple of guys from the British Isles, and just have a coffee and I think you sort of said it, Charles. It's like it wasn't talking just about Saints; it was talking about life.
No,
it was just chatting shit. And it was chatting the shit, and it was like,
we talked very little about the Saints to him, didn't we? We hardly talked about the Saints. It was just about our lives as people.
To get the DM from him initially, and I think it went along the lines of, "I'm just sitting waiting for DA's presser right now at the facility, like, but I'll be heading downtown." And I was like, "For like you're at like the press conference of the head coach, and you're thinking about little old me, like, wow." And I think
that's Ross. That is Ross.
Unfortunately, that's Ross. He's a remarkable individual. He really is. So we should all be blessed that we know him in our lives, because when you go out there,
we can call him a friend.
No,
I
absolutely.
yeah,
And when you go out there, he does everything to accommodate you, which is great. And you're right, Dan. That Friday night, and also with Max and Alex, that was a lovely. It was a really. It was a change of gear to when we're normally in New Orleans, because obviously when we're in New Orleans, it's like, yeah, let's get smashed and do all that stuff. But it was just a really lovely change of gear, and it was very enjoyable. Yeah, really
And I
enjoyed
think
it.
the whole meeting with Ross encapsulates my statement of came for the Saints, left for the City,
Yeah,
because I went to that meeting thinking, like, in my main thing, like, thinking, oh, it's going to be great to meet Ross because, like, what a guy he is, but how
Yeah.
cool is it going to be to find out stuff about the Saints? But as I said earlier, it wouldn't matter if we didn't even talk about the Saints. But that of kind of taking the focus off the Saints has intensified my fandom for the Saints, because it's made it so much more than just 11 guys on a pitch trying to move a football down past the line.
Yeah.
And like from what I said earlier, you want stuff to intensify sport, and that all this trip has done is intensified sport. And to get this now, this little reminder on the coming Sundays till the end of the season of New Orleans is going to, like, game days tomorrow takes on a whole different meaning than it has done in the previous 100 and whatever 50 games that I've watched. More than that, 200 maybe. Who knows?
I'm at a point now where I'm acting like Dylan, my son. He's like got a Saints jersey now, and he's sort of into it. But I'm at the point now where, like, I want you to watch it with me, and even if you don't watch it, I can explain bits that you enjoy about it, because it's just I want to not indoctrinate him, but it's just like share with him what a wonderful place New Orleans is. He's begging me to take him. He's 11. He's like, when can we go? When can we go? When can we go? And he's like, what will we do? And I'm like, oh, we'll go Mardi Gras World. We'll do all these things that we wouldn't do because we do the more grown-up stuff. But then it makes me realize there's so much more to the city. Like you wasn't with us on the Saturday. We went to Black and Gold. Then went up in the fucking mall. And then I was saying to my wife, I was like, you'd love this mall. It was lovely, really nice. Right up your street, shopping galore. You fucking love it.
Designer left, designer right. Everything was there.
Confirms that what I say to people time and time again. People used to say to me, "Why'd you take your kids to New York?" And I go, because there's so much to do there. Why would you take your kids to New Orleans? It's this dangerous place. It's not. There's so much to do there. You've just got to open your eyes to the beauty of these places. And as Ross said in that tweet, it's the imperfections.
It is, it really is. That is so true. Honestly, one thing that stood out to me was, and as weird as this might sound, the interaction I had with the homeless people were as lovely as interactions I've had with, like, better interactions with New Orleans homeless people than certain cities, just normal residents.
It's understanding why they are and where they are, which is different. It's different to other people, and it's incredible.
And it's I think just the way, like New Orleans is a bit of a melting pot. There's a lot of different subcultures and stuff like that, but the way they all combine, it just combines to make the best cocktail you've ever had, to be the best. Whatever. Like, it's just this perfect little bit of everything that just makes it all together. And there's even the bad bits, and there are bad bits. There's bad bits with every city, but the bad bits intensify the good bits. And then, like you say, it is one of these cities that will show you its best for its flaws.
Yeah, but also, and that's part. Yet again, I think it was the response that Ross gave to you, which was talking about the imperfections. And the city has imperfections. They have huge imperfections. But it's a service city. And if people like us aren't coming to the city, then the service city that is not going to be a service city anymore. So you have to take the rough and the smooth. And you really do. And look, hey, I don't think we're going to get into detail on it, but we had a couple of friends who really got the rough when they were over there and didn't get the smooth.
It's because their blood was rushing to the wrong part of their body, but We'll leave that where it is.
Yeah. I think so.
I joke about it. It's not great up into obviously, but it can happen anywhere. But to Charles' point, it's like people call New York the melting pot of America. Maybe now it is, but the original melting pot of America is New Orleans.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
But we would call it the gumbo pot because there's a bit of everything in there. And
and it's
amazing.
And I think the vast majority of America forget that. They forget that it is the vast melting pot of the whole country. We've spoken about it time and time again. It's not an American city. It's a European city. It's a Caribbean city. It's got so many cultures, so many mixes. That's what makes it beautiful. As long as you go over there and you're aware of your surroundings, and that is no different to coming to London. Don't go to a certain area in London. If you speak to me and Dan, if you're American, you're coming over here and you ask us our advice, we'll say, don't go there. Don't go here.
Oh, if someone says, someone said to me, "Oh, I'm coming over for the Tottenham game. I'm going to go to Tottenham on the Friday before the game." I'll be like, "No, don't do that. Don't do that."
No.
Go on Sunday.
I lived in Glasgow for 4 years when I was at uni, and and Glasgow. I mean, Glasgow comes with a reputation, and it comes with a reputation for a reason. That you can still go there and have an amazing time, but you got to stay West End city centre. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I went to Cape Town for a part of my honeymoon with my wife 5 years ago, and I'd say we were advised by everyone. I've got South African friends as well, and they advised us not to go to 80% of Cape Town. Know your surroundings, know where you are, and that's when you're good. And that's the thing about it, is there is good and bad in everyone. I'm going to sound like Stevie Wonder now. Learn to live. You got to learn to give each other. Anyway, I'll leave that one. I don't even know what that was. But anyway.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But all I'm saying is that you've got to be aware of where you are.
Yeah. And as long as you do that, you will be fine. As long as you're not an arse to yourself.
Absolutely.
Like, never once the whole trip did I ever feel in any sort of danger. And it's because when I was walking through the city, I was just walking through. If someone made eye contact with me, you just give them a little nod and you just go about their day.
Yeah.
And you just keep rolling with it. And if you see situations, I think there's, like, especially if you're sober or relatively sober, or like just not completely out of it, you can see when bad situations are going to start arising. You just need a bit of common sense for that. And all you need to do is just take your 2 feet and just go in the other direction.
Exactly.
And you're going to avoid trouble. And it's these people that over-egg the trouble. That it's just, they don't give the city a chance to be the city. If they go in just thinking it's going to be dangerous, it's going to be that, you know what, you're going to have a shit time because you're just going to be living in fear. But if you just appreciate the fact, if you keep your head on the swivel, you don't do anything silly, no one's going to give you any trouble.
Charles, you're absolutely right.
Spot on.
I personally think, all right, we've been going for nearly 2.5 hours. So, Charles, I'm going to say personally, thank you so much, mate, for coming on. It was wonderful spending the time over there with you. We didn't see you enough when we were over there.
No.
I think they were twofold. One, because obviously you arrived a little bit late, but also I think me and Dan were doing other things as well. But it was a joy when we got to be in your company, and also a joy just to see how happy you were to be in the city, and I absolutely loved it. So I think from my point of view, I'm hoping, Charles, that you're going over next year.
Yes.
Yes.
Until I get a wife and kids and all those responsibilities, and hopefully by the time that comes around, my finances will take care of themselves. But until then, 100% that my biggest expenditure each year is going to be my trip to New Orleans, without a doubt.
I'm telling you now, forget those wives, forget those kids. Just go to New Orleans, my friend.
Just find my old role buddy again.
I got back and Nick went to me, so when are you going next? Well, maybe February.
Yeah.
But probably like next season. Yeah, it's a for me. It has to be an every year. I would love for us to do a SaintsCityMe trip where we can organise something for people and bring together people, and we can all go. And we can. I don't want to say like be a tour guides, but we can try and show people the best of that city's got to offer without getting caught in the chafe and the wheat stuff. It's just like let's cut through it and give them the best trip, which is what we're trying to do with the Discord and that we've got set up and stuff. Is like show people the great places to go so they don't end up in a fucking Starbucks or a Subway having lunch because it's convenient.
And well, I went for a few drinks last night with my friends, and they were just like, right, we're going next year, sort of thing. And like, I even got a text from my absolute best friend who I've known since I was 8 years old, coming up to 20 years now. And he sent me a text last night just saying how great I looked last night, about how buzzing with energy and confidence and all that sort of thing. And I've just realised I've just visited a place and it's given me all that sort of thing,
and Charlie, that was after you were dealing with jet lag. That's
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So like the energy that it gave you is remarkable. So we like, hey, look, let's hope we can get more people to visit the city because there is so much love about the city.
Just don't end up on the come down like I am now because I'm like, fuck, I live in England.
Oh, all right. On that note, I think we should end the whole fucking thing.
I belong in the US. I can't do anything about it. But that's where I belong. Anyway.
Right. Anyway, SaintsCityMe. See you later.
Who dat?
Take care, guys.